A sharp, sudden impact echoed through the sterile space. A brutal punch landed, the sharp impact sending a visceral shock through the young man in red as he recoiled, gasping, "Ach!" With a sudden, firm grasp, one hand clamped down, refusing to release its hold. The enraged man in blue roared, questioning if his opponent even comprehended the immense value of the money, his threat of death hanging heavy in the air. His grip tightened, and a menacing snarl escaped his lips, promising to end his opponent's life should he dare to resist again. From the shadows, a chillingly calm voice challenged whether he, too, was being dismissed as utterly foolish. His jaw dropped, a wide-eyed gaze meeting the utterly unexpected retort. He seized the other man's chin, leveling a fierce accusation against the endless, infuriating refrain of, "My money, my money." With a guttural roar, he furiously dismissed the other's pretense of ownership, branding him a worthless piece of trash. His lungs burned, each desperate gasp, "Ugh, coup. Ha!" a searing struggle against suffocation. A strained, nervous laugh escaped him, his wide eyes betraying profound fear and utter bewilderment. Tears streamed down his anguished face, a heartbroken plea for, just one more round, escaping, certain he could reclaim his desperate losses. His raw vulnerability spilled onto the bright floor, a desperate, sobbing plea for trust and survival under the unfeeling gaze of shadowy onlookers. From the sidelines, two observers watched the scene, one's knowing smirk revealing a hint of subtle judgment. A thoughtful frown creased his brow. Could the crying man even fool himself with such desperate dramatics? His hand flew to his mouth, eyes wide with astonished reverence for the performance's sheer genius. A polite, somewhat detached, farewell message concluded the dramatic scene. Lee Tae-gyu, a man of 30 years, walked confidently through the bustling city streets, his introduction a quiet, personal declaration. Filled with exuberant laughter, a cheerful couple asked for a moment to capture their joyous, carefree happiness. The familiar chokak of a phone camera echoed as Lee Tae-gyu mechanically captured the moment. A heartbroken "Hwang" ripped through the air as the young girl cried for her mother. Lee Tae-gyu passively observed the public's emotional spectrum, from a woman's grateful praise to a man's furious outburst, all defined by detached narration. The bald man's fury boiled over, his angry words failing to elicit any reaction from the utterly impassive Lee Tae-gyu. As the bald man stormed away, Lee Tae-gyu felt nothing, utterly detached from the departing drama. A phantom "Yuwua" echoed in his mind, yet the intensity of the sensation now utterly eluded him. A wistful envy settled over him, gazing at the distant crane, recalling the last time his heart truly raced, a memory of falling. He quietly requested a ticket to East Seoul, blending into the bus terminal's ordinary, functional bustle. The soft chiik of a lighter heralded a mundane ritual. He sat smoking, his thoughts drifting back to the bungee jump, wondering if he had set his emotional expectations far too high. Another day dissolved into the quiet, smoky air, a profound waste of time. His jaw tightened, dismissing the meaningless brawls of foolish individuals. The lit cigarette sparked a quiet thought of his youthful, minor rebellion. Even the exhilarating plunge of a 63-meter bungee jump brought no flicker of emotion, his spirit remained utterly numb. He sat, a wry smile playing on his lips, pondering his emotional void after doctors cleared him of psychopathy, profoundly wondering what was truly amiss. A knowing "Kohyum" accompanied a subtle, intriguing smirk, foreshadowing more. An old man approached, feigning casualness as he inquired about a lost wallet, his concern thinly veiled. His response was curt and neutral, he had not seen it. His worry escalated, revealing the dire timing of the loss, his niece's wedding ominously looming tomorrow. His face contorted with profound self-pity as he lamented losing his phone as well. A single tear traced a path down his weathered cheek, underscoring the urgent necessity of reaching Seoul that very day. Lee Tae-gyu straightened, a surprising question breaking his usual detachment, to which the old man hesitantly confirmed. Lee Tae-gyu offered to purchase the ticket, surprising the old man, even as a flicker of suspicion whispered about a potential, simple scam. The old man beamed with sincere gratitude, promising repayment, while Lee Tae-gyu offered a detached acknowledgement, a tiny spark of pity stirring within him. Bathed in warm sunlight, the two men sat side by side on the bus, a picture of calm, comfortable transit. He pondered his new, secret weekend side job, a quiet hope stirring that it might finally offer the thrill his bungee jump failed to deliver. His thoughts veered dangerously, flirting with illegality for a thrill, then recoiled, grimacing at his own moral slip, fearing inevitable reckless, legal, pursuits. A neon sign for gold cash illuminated his morally ambiguous consideration of loan sharking. The old man, with a sly smile, suddenly admonished him against loan sharking, as if he'd read his very thoughts. Confused by the uncanny retort, Lee Tae-gyu watched as the old man extended a hand, promising no fee or charge. A weathered hand gently clasped his, examining it with an intimate, mysterious focus. Shock and bewilderment flooded his face at the uncanny observation. Lee Tae-gyu's silent question about mind reading was met with the old man's knowing, unsettling confirmation. A tisk, tisk accompanied his blunt assessment, a rare, rather pitiful bachelor. Confusion and a hint of offense clouded his face at the personal remark. With an exaggerated, wide smile, the old man philosophically advised smiling often for good fortune. His eye narrowed in confusion, internally resisting the notion of a baseless, forced smile. The old man's knowing smile and perfect echo of his thoughts made Lee Tae-gyu inwardly reel, branding him insane. He confidently asserted his philosophy: laughter wasn't spontaneous, but a deliberate, willed act. Encouraged to try, Lee Tae-gyu hesitated, an awkward internal debate raging about whether to attempt a small, insincere, forced smile. With a "wowjack" flourish, the old man presented a comically exaggerated smile, daring him to laugh. A surprised "ft" escaped him, a spontaneous, genuine laugh. The old man playfully teased him about his near laugh, offering lessons, which Lee Tae-gyu, slightly embarrassed, politely declined. The old man's cryptic advice to "suck it in with your right hand and spit it out with your left" left Lee Tae-gyu utterly bewildered. Utter confusion clouded his face as he inwardly dismissed the old man as undeniably weird. With a mysterious smile, he promised that secrets would soon unfold, remaining tight-lipped for now. A hand reached out, accompanied by a swift, evocative "suk dash." A blinding flash of white light marked an abrupt, ethereal transition. Lee Tae-gyu slumped peacefully against the window, deep in slumber. His eyes slowly fluttered open, roused by the insistent calls of the bus attendant. Disoriented and teary-eyed, Lee Tae-gyu barely registered the attendant's announcement of their arrival in Seoul. Still reeling, he asked the attendant about the old man who had sat beside him, his bewilderment palpable. The attendant's face registered utter disbelief at the question. Lee Tae-gyu's eyes widened in utter shock at the attendant's revelation. The attendant, dismissing his confusion as drowsiness, simply pointed to a stack of money. "Take it." Amidst the terminal's bustling chaos, Lee Tae-gyu stood clutching banknotes, his mind swirling with unanswered confusion. Clutching the money, perplexity etched his face. Had he been hypnotized somehow? The image of the mysterious old man haunted his thoughts. It was a brief, inexplicable encounter, yet undeniably significant. Yet, that encounter undeniably returned color to his muted world, a faint, hopeful smile gracing his lips. The crisp banknotes lay as tangible proof, undeniable reality. A sudden surge, a bright "kaya," exploded within him, the realization sparking, "It's coming out." From the audience, a startled "up" escaped him, watching the award ceremony unfold. Under dazzling spotlights, the female presenter's voice boomed, declaring the hard-won winner of the coveted Best Actor award. Du Guangxian beamed, clutching his microphone, his grateful thanks echoing triumphantly. A murmur of admiration rippled through the audience, praising Du Guangxian's enduring talent and well-deserved success. As praise for his insane acting floated, Lee Tae-gyu impassively considered him merely an actor. Unlike himself, actors could effortlessly inhabit emotions, a talent Lee Tae-gyu observed with a detached, distant admiration. They were individuals whose craft demanded complete immersion in extraordinary situations and every spectrum of feeling, a profound power. His intense gaze fixed on the stage, recognizing the self-made, renowned actor, Du Guangxian. Bathed in celebratory gold, Du Guangxian's radiant smile made Lee Tae-gyu wistfully conclude, such a life must be truly fun. Lee Tae-gyu observed the radiant smile on stage, his inner voice questioning if the situation genuinely warranted such profound happiness. His hand instinctively went to his chin, searching for the elusive words of that weird old man. The old man's comically exaggerated smile flashed, recalling his advice, "You have to try to laugh." A genuine, wide smile broke across his face, followed by a spontaneous PFT. A mysterious blue pat of flame-like energy suddenly sparked around the smiling Du Guangxian. With a waruriak roar, the mystical blue energy swirled, completely enveloping the actor. A wide, confused eye reflected the strange, mystical blue energy. He stared, utterly perplexed, wondering if the shimmering blue was merely a spark. Within the swirling blue, he sensed something, initially mistaking it for Du Guangxian's smiling image, then a sudden, clearer insight struck him. A wave of perplexity washed over him. Why this sudden, uncontrollable urge to smile? His heart pounded. Du Gun, a shocking, teary-eyed revelation. Was this Du Guangxian's emotion flowing through him? His heart throbbed. Du Gun, as the old man's cryptic words echoed, revealing their profound, true meaning in this visceral connection. With a sudden pat, his right hand flared, crackling with raw, dual-colored mystical energy, a powerful AK. Blue energy swirled around him as fragments of an actor's audition, vivid and real, flowed into his very being, a shocking absorption. Du Guangxian's memories and potent emotions surged within him, preparing for release through his left hand, a profound, magical transfer. With a violent waruriak, purple energy engulfed his distressed face, utterly overwhelming him. A tear welled in his wide, confused eye, a silent "huh." Du Guangxian's profound words about regret and motivation resonated, sparking a visceral coup of powerful empathy and internal catharsis within Lee Tae-gyu. With humble gratitude, Du Guangxian bowed deeply, acknowledging his Best Actor award. As Du Guangxian bowed on stage, Lee Tae-gyu mirrored the gesture, kneeling in profound, symbolic submission to the emotion. A profound, ugh. Ugh. SNGH. Ha. Ha, burst from him as he finally remembered, shocking the onlookers with his raw emotional breakthrough. Tears and fluids flew as he cried intensely, screaming Du Guangxian's name, the overwhelming, liberating release feeling incredibly good. A bustling public hall fell silent as onlookers questioned the distraught man's identity and intense emotional display. A murmur of concern rippled through the crowd as onlookers debated if the man was ill and whether to call for help. One kind soul knelt, attempting to break through the man's profound distress with gentle queries. Heya. The raw gasps of his uncontrolled sobs hinted at a dawning, insane realization. The sheer force of feeling convulsed him, a torrent he declared insane. 3 days later, Lee Tae-gyu, cloaked in the dim bathroom light, coaxed a mysterious orange flame into being. A bright of flame erupted, searing the tiled wall. His concentration shattered, a startled escaping as the power surprised him. His frustration mounted, he yelled at his own reflection, questioning his erratic control. Then, with a more potent, a brilliant blue fire blazed. With an unexpectedly cheerful demeanor and a confident blue aura, Lee Tae-gyu delivered imaginary custom drinks to himself. A vibrant purple erupted, met with a frustrated, seriously. Now channeling fury, Lee Tae-gyu dramatically questioned if this was the reason for his outing. He demanded a response with rising anger, then conceded his emotional performance was still missing the mark. 3 days on, his emotions felt fundamentally wrong, a frustrating contrast to Du Guangxian's powerfully real experience. He discovered a critical limitation: copying a new Will-O-Wisp inevitably erased the previous, intensely stored emotion. Will-O-wisps were burning clumps of human emotions, allowing him to absorb and embody them, though only one powerful sensation could be held at a time. This power, however, came with a crucial drawback: it demanded live emotional sources, a screen unable to convey true, active sentiment. Yet, this limitation had an unexpected benefit: it prompted him to venture out more, to his quiet satisfaction. A contented smile graced his lips, revealing life's newfound, exhilarating joy. He mused over the old man who bestowed his power, wondering if he was a legendary immortal or a mysterious hermit from a forgotten wuxia tale. He dismissed the deeper questions, settling for simple gratitude, and faced his future with quiet confidence. The day's pressing schedule now demanded his immediate attention. His current engagement, a guest part-time job, posing as a joyous attendee in this brightly artificial wedding scene. His role was clear: project an image of the groom's enthusiastic friend, a front performed before an expectant crowd. He keenly anticipated this performance, his first since Du Guangxian's profound emotional torrent. Du Guangxian's raw emotions transcended mere intensity, their profound depth amplified not just by feeling, but by the undeniable presence of an audience. His eye glinted, understanding this audience factor would make the job immensely fun. Guests streamed into the grand, modern building, foreshadowing the impending formal event. On October 10, 2026, Lee Tae-gyu meticulously reviewed the Joyful Companions team's instructions for his part-time gig. The screen detailed his role: act as a university travel club friend, sincerely congratulate the couple, and claim his 50,000 won for the meal-inclusive group photo. His eyes narrowed, beginning his subtle assessment of the room's energy. He noted the telltale signs: an awkward distance, wandering eyes betraying the unease of fellow part-time attendees. With a satisfied glance, he affirmed his suspicions: he was precisely where he needed to be. The bored, suffocatingly detached expressions of other guests clearly identified them as classic, disengaged part-time actors. His phone became his guide, a quick reference before the show. The team lead's final message explicitly warned against overacting and reminded everyone to collect their gift money. That specific warning caught his analytical eye, hinting at past incidents. He mused that such strict guidelines demanded a safe approach, acknowledging the couple's perspective. The couple feared clumsy acting would mar their day, a stark contrast to the awkwardly effusive smiles of the hired friends. Lee Tae-gyu, his hand glowing, declared the real challenge was selling the real friend vibe. His eyes blazed orange as potent flames engulfed his waiting hands. Engulfed in fiery energy, Lee Tae-gyu reveled in the terrifyingly authentic sensations his unique ability now brought forth. Now fully immersed in his role, Lee Tae-gyu beamed with theatrical zeal, ready to offer heartfelt client congratulations. From the restroom's direction, an indignant shout tore through the air. A hand muffled the cheerful man's startled revelation, cutting him short mid-sentence. The cheerful man's distressed face pleaded for urgent discretion. An angry man with spiky hair publicly shamed the cheerful man for hiring stand-ins, while the latter frantically urged him to lower his voice. The spiky-haired man continued his self-important rant, while the cheerful man, sheepish, confessed this hiring was a secret even from his parents. A quiet of conversation confirmed only his wife and uncle knew the true extent of the cheerful man's deception. The spiky-haired man muttered, annoyed at being publicly undermined. Walking away, the spiky-haired man lectured that a wedding was a singular, sacred event not to be trifled with. He vividly imagined the chaos: a show-off part-timer ruining everything, a pristine cake now tragically smeared across the floor. His angry snarl dismissed all acting part-timers as mere seat fillers. From the background, a cheerful "HEY" cut through the tense air. The spiky-haired man's rant about wedding ruiners was abruptly halted by Lee Tae-gyu's sharp, declarative "HEY." With an exaggerated, booming grin, Lee Tae-gyu hailed Kwak Chun-sik, claiming to have almost forgotten his face. Lee Tae-gyu dramatically bemoaned his heartbreak at not being called first, leaving a bewildered Kwak Chun-sik utterly speechless. Lee Tae-gyu, his hand on Chun-sik's shoulder, offered congratulations, with feigned disbelief, unsettling his target. Kwak Chun-sik nervously stammered an excuse, his mind racing to place this excessively enthusiastic stand-in guest. Chun-sik's distress mounted, realizing a stand-in was indeed overacting, just as his uncle's dire warnings had predicted. An annoyed Chun-sik tried to discreetly warn Lee Tae-gyu, only to be interrupted by a woman's surprising inquiry. With exaggerated zeal, Lee Tae-gyu bowed deeply, instantly charming Chun-sik's mother with his improvised tale of long-standing university friendship, much to Chun-sik's horror. His distressed eye twitched, comprehending Lee Tae-gyu's audacious, on-the-spot fabrication. Lee Tae-gyu cheerfully encouraged a visibly nervous Chun-sik, patting his shoulder with forced camaraderie. A frantic Chun-sik leaned in, whispering desperately to Lee Tae-gyu, fearing his sharp-eyed uncle would see through the charade. The spiky-haired man walked away, a smug "he's a pro," echoing his own self-assurance. Lee Tae-gyu urged action, his smile a mischievous command. Chun-sik's uncle, a storm gathering on his face, called out to him. The uncle sharply questioned Chun-sik's expression, leaving him utterly bewildered. Pure, unadulterated panic flared in Kwak Chun-sik's wide, sweating eye. Meanwhile, Lee Tae-gyu radiated pure, golden satisfaction in his performance. A dawning horror widened Chun-sik's eye, as an unsettling truth emerged. His mind reeled, the jerk here. Chun-sik's anxiety was a stark contrast to the ceremony's facade. Elsewhere, a silent observer held a serious gaze. Chun-sik's mind raced, grappling with the sudden, frantic realization. Despite the warm memory, the current social situation felt irreversible. His mind frantically scrolled through every memory, desperate to identify the grinning, mysterious guest. The actor's performance ripped through Chun-sik's consciousness, a near-death flashback, demanding, "Who are you?" A voice cut through his panic, calling his name as a hand reached out. Lee Tae-gyu's parting promise hung in the air, oozing smug self-assurance. His troubled gaze remained fixed downward, trapped in his dilemma. He met Tae-gyu's outstretched hand, a shimmering aura accompanying his move. With a blinding smile and a full-power ad-lib, Chun-sik thanked him with an unconvincing shout. The immediate crisis averted, Chun-sik walked away, Tae-gyu waving a smug farewell. Indeed, the victory was his, acknowledged only by a self-satisfied glow. The bride offered a gentle, serene smile, radiating tranquility. Chun-sik returned the soft gaze, his composure fleeting. In a grand flourish of white and light, the two were officially bound, their new chapter beginning. A crescendo of applause, clap. Clap. Clap, erupted from the guests, spearheaded by Lee Tae-gyu's unrestrained enthusiasm. Her subtle inquiry hinted at a satisfaction Chun-sik couldn't yet share. The bearded man proudly noted the groom's side, remarking on the unexpected crowd. Chun-sik felt a brief, mistaken sense of triumph, believing their secret was perfectly safe. The bride's unexpected question ripped through his relief, reigniting his fear. Her gaze fell upon the loudest clapper, precisely pinpointing Chun-sik's tormentor. A single syllable carried the weight of his dawning dread. The bride's sharp questions chipped away at his composure, forcing a desperate, evasive promise. The chilling thought that everyone, even his bride, was buying the charade twisted Chun-sik's gut, while his accomplice glowed smugly. Chun-sik fought to compose himself, clinging to the sliver of hope that this elaborate farce would soon conclude. He gritted his teeth, his silent plea to just hold it and lost on his confused bride. The presenter prepared to introduce the next segment. The presenter's enthusiastic voice filled the bright hall, energizing the crowd. From the altar, the presenter orchestrated the grand narrative of their ceremony. With a focused gaze, the presenter continued, unknowingly steering the couple towards another predicament. The presenter's praise earned an unconvincing, uncomfortable laugh from Chun-sik, as his bride stifled her own reaction. Her eyes sparkled with mischievous anticipation for the next act. The presenter's innocent challenge sent jolts of pure terror through both Chun-sik and his wide-eyed bride. His horrified denial was immediate, a desperate attempt to swat away the presenter's innocent lie. Her wide smile broadcast an open invitation, unknowingly setting the stage for utter chaos. Chun-sik's silent question echoed his bride's palpable distress. A cold dread seized him. The truth about their hired guests was moments from being spectacularly exposed. A single step broke the silence, signaling a new player. Lee Tae-gyu's bold offer to speak sent a fresh jolt of terror through Chun-sik. The presenter's excited welcome solidified Chun-sik's horrified belief that his performance had completely gone off script. With practiced ease, he introduced himself as a university club friend. Lee Tae-gyu spun tales of a travel club, leaving a sweating Chun-sik utterly bewildered. His voice resonated with fabricated warmth, spinning a convincing narrative of Chun-sik's past. Laughter, ha ha ha, rippled through the guests as Lee Tae-gyu skillfully wove his elaborate tale, crediting Chun-sik for his own life's turnaround. As the words flowed effortlessly, Lee Tae-gyu's fiction somehow conjured fragmented, impossible memories of the travel club in Chun-sik's mind. A hopeful clink of glasses echoed the imagined romance. Scattered empty bottles whispered tales of youthful pretension. Their wide smiles held a deep, unarticulated longing. He found himself believing his 20s, once thought friendless, were brimming with vibrant, forgotten connections. Simply put, a profound shift was occurring. Suddenly, inexplicably, he saw that he was not alone, he actually had friends. The name, a whisper of recognition, escaped his lips. Lee Tae-gyu, fully committed, roared his heartfelt congratulations, crediting Chun-sik with his personal reformation. A ragged huff escaped his lungs, a release of pure emotion. Overwhelmed, Chun-sik pumped his fist, wildly thanking Chong-gyu for coming. Amidst a thunderous asterisk clap. Clap. Clap, asterisk, the two embraced, their performances culminating in a shared, surreal moment. The reception commenced, guests mingling and serving themselves from the bustling buffet. The narrator snickered, pondering the mystery of this Chong-gyu fellow. The satisfaction he felt, he mused, far surpassed the taste of any ribs. He savored the familiar thrill of the performance, a feeling echoing his days with Du Guangxian, made unique by this guest gig. A juicy slurp accompanied his thought, he was truly glad he'd taken this job. He pondered his next move, adjusting his tie with a strategic gleam. A voice cut through his thoughts, unexpectedly calling out, "Jong-gyu." An older couple warmly approached, their greeting deepening the comedic layers of mistaken identity. The older man reminisced fondly about shared, completely fictional, drinking binges. His earnest invitation to stay in touch trapped Lee Tae-gyu in an uncomfortable bind. Without the protective shield of an act, Lee Tae-gyu found himself unable to utter a pure lie. He bowed deeply, offering a final, perplexing congratulations to the couple. Their wide eyes conveyed utter bewilderment, asterisk huh. Asterisk at his strange well-wishing. His conscience, heavier than his stomach, pulled him away, leaving the older woman reeling in confused distress. A firm tap on his shoulder brought his hasty retreat to an abrupt halt. His expression clouded with a grim, apologetic regret. A reassuring tap carried an unspoken weight. With a knowing grin, the bearded man broke the fourth wall, posing the ultimate question. Kwak In-ho, a once-renowned drama writer, possessed an insight so piercing it rivaled even the most seasoned casting directors. Even the formidable, acting inspector, Kwak In-ho found himself briefly wondering about the young man's striking good looks. A complete metamorphosis overtook Lee Jin-hyung, his entire being shifting as if donning a mask, fully immersing him in the performance. Despite knowing it was an act, Kwak In-ho found himself bewildered, his expertise momentarily shattered by the sheer conviction of the performance. The flawless ad-libbing, sparked by a sudden MCQ, electrified Kwak In-ho, his discerning eye instantly recognized a top-tier talent. Kwak In-ho considered the possibilities, deducing the performer must be either a raw rookie or an untrained amateur. Deciding he couldn't let such talent escape, Kwak In-ho demanded to know Lee Tae-gyu's agency affiliation. Lee Tae-gyu feigned ignorance about agencies, while Kwak In-ho, mistaking him for a seasoned professional, pressed him about performing such a casual gig. Kwak In-ho inquired about his identity, to which Lee Tae-gyu sheepishly replied he was Chun-sik's uncle. Kwak In-ho, after a brief flicker of surprise, waved away Lee Tae-gyu's bowed head, confident he understood the entire, unspoken narrative. Confident in his extensive industry knowledge, Kwak In-ho pressed Lee Tae-gyu, wondering if he emerged from an unknown academy or a university film program. After a pregnant pause, Lee Tae-gyu delivered the unexpected punchline, high school graduate, unemployed. Kwak In-ho inwardly mused about Lee Tae-gyu's evasiveness, then simply stated, "You're funny." Kwak In-ho mentally noted the young man's seemingly blank face, recognizing its incredible potential as an actor's versatile canvas. Kwak In-ho declared his intent to claim this talent, then proudly revealed his acclaimed work, the drama, Hell of Distrust. Kwak In-ho casually instructed Lee Tae-gyu to look up the drama on his phone. Lee Tae-gyu scrolled, a flash of recognition crossing his face as he admitted, "Oh, you're right." Kwak In-ho savored Lee Tae-gyu's surprised confirmation, while the young man internally struggled to recall where he had seen it. While Kwak In-ho observed Lee Tae-gyu's unflappable demeanor, a jolt of surreal energy suggested the young man was surprised to meet such a writer here. A sudden, thunderous rumble escaped Lee Tae-gyu's stomach. His eyes widened in horrified panic as he realized the source of the commotion, his own unruly stomach. A vision of ramen and steak danced before Lee Tae-gyu's eyes, and he wondered if his recent performance had ignited an insatiable hunger. Kwak In-ho, misinterpreting Lee Tae-gyu's grimace as a new acting technique, advised him to relax, only to be rebuffed. Kwak In-ho swiftly offered an audition for his new drama, extending his hand for Lee Tae-gyu's phone, which then seemed to thud into his grasp, startling the young man. His mind racing with panic, Lee Tae-gyu stammered that he would reply later, desperately trying to escape the moment. Kwak In-ho shouted details after him, but Lee Tae-gyu was already off in a whoosh, yelling a frantic, "Yes, sir." Kwak In-ho stood, phone in hand, pondering the hasty departure. Kwak In-ho called someone, a tremor of excitement in his voice as he declared, "I think I've found him." Lee Tae-gyu gritted his teeth in a raw outburst of frustration, an ironic jackpot echoing in his mind. A sigh of deep resignation escaped him as new messages appeared on his screen. Messages from joyful companions revealed the bitter truth: a major complaint meant they could no longer employ him, despite the payment. Lying on his bed, a profound sense of defeat settled over Lee Tae-gyu as he simply stated, "I got fired." The memory of a startled woman flickered, and Lee Tae-gyu admitted his performance had indeed crossed a line. A wave of genuine regret washed over Lee Tae-gyu, acknowledging his fault as he slowly typed out a heartfelt apology. He realized his intentions, however good, had led him to toy with people's emotions, and the unsettling truth was that he had even enjoyed it. Clutching the remote, Lee Tae-gyu recognized the flaw in his past belief that external reactions were essential for true immersion. On the screen, a man and woman exchanged indistinct words. Lost in thought, Lee Tae-gyu sat on his bed, the television's muffled chatter filling the dim room. If bothering others is the cost, Lee Tae-gyu thought, I'd rather just waste time alone like this. Then, a familiar face on screen caught his eye, and Lee Tae-gyu realized, oh, Do Gwang-seon was in this. Watching Do Gwang-seon perform, a dormant desire stirred within Lee Tae-gyu, making him yearn to act again. This is bad, he thought, realizing that even practicing alone in front of a mirror no longer brought him joy. He desperately sought a way to act with others, collaboratively and without causing trouble, yearning for a genuine connection on stage. The image of a tender embrace from the screen reflected deep within Lee Tae-gyu's eye. A sudden, profound realization hit him, causing his hands to clench as he uttered, an actor. Kwak In-ho's confident words echoed in his mind, I'll text you the details, so make sure you check it. Lee Tae-gyu sat on his bed, lost in thought, his phone lying silently beside him. The smartphone lay face down, its potential messages ignored. Kwak In-ho roared into his phone, his frustration palpable as he demanded, "How many times do I have to say it?" Kwak In-ho passionately championed the young man's insane ad-libbing, insisting his talent far surpassed their previous discussions. He firmly cut through the objections, demanding, "Just put his name on the audition list." His eye narrowed with fierce conviction as he vowed to suffer humiliation if his judgment proved incorrect. A beat of silence passed, then the voice on the other end asked, "What's his name?" Kwak In-ho's confident smile faltered. He declared with sudden determination, "I have to find that out now." The man with glasses remained silent, his own ID displayed on his phone. A flicker of pure disdain crossed his eye as he mentally labeled Kwak In-ho a clueless washed-up fossil. A sharp click ended the call. Kwak In-ho stared at his phone in disbelief, seething at being hung up on so abruptly. The phone buzzed back to life with an incoming call. Kwak In-ho exploded into the phone, demanding the caller claim a dropped connection, threatening to sulk over past perceived slights. Then, a voice on the line confirmed, "You left your contact info." "Is this writer Kwak In-ho?" leaving him stunned. Lee Tae-gyu's voice, firm and clear, directly asked for the audition details. With newfound resolve, Lee Tae-gyu declared his profound desire to become an actor. Kwak In-ho smirked knowingly into the phone, "Thought you weren't going to call." A city street bustled as a film crew prepared for a shoot. Amidst the city's ceaseless rhythm, countless lives hurried past. Two figures, one clutching a script, watched with keen anticipation. Kwak In-ho's voice cut through the air, fiercely advocating for Lee Tae-gyu's undeniable talent. The man with glasses delivered his resolute refusal. Kwak In-ho passionately championed raw talent, while the man with glasses rigidly questioned experience's critical absence. Irritation etched on his face, the man with glasses definitively closed the matter. Still, Kwak In-ho desperately pleaded for a mere chance, not a guarantee, just an audition. A stark no shattered Kwak In-ho's patience, igniting his fury as the writer. With a fierce gaze, Kwak In-ho argued that ultimately, only ratings would truly speak for themselves. Reality itself seemed to dissolve into static. Warm light embraced the traditional, quiet chamber. Within the tranquil room, a man sat in focused contemplation, reviewing documents. The script revealed Ji Cheol-gun and Kwak In-ho's names. The man with slick-back brown hair praised the script, wondering if Kwak In-ho had found his stride again. A flicker of doubt crossed the man's expression. He declared the script a masterpiece, even eclipsing Hell of Distrust. The man with glasses, slightly uneasy, accepted a discreetly wrapped package. Holding the package, he wondered if it was a clandestine payment. A knowing smirk played on his lips as he called it a mere travel fee for their grand endeavor. He scoffed, implying the sum held no real value. The man with glasses eyed the package, but was quickly dismissed. With a subtle smirk, he asserted the audition would remain exclusive. The man with glasses pieced it together, Kim Hwan, for Oh Daebak. Satisfied they understood each other, he proposed future collaborations, sealing their alliance. His smirk belied the casual reassurance. He simply wanted Hwan's potential assessed, a loaded request indeed. The name, Kim Hwan, settled with weighty significance. Kim Hwan emerged, an idol-turned-actor, under the formidable wing of Do Yoon-seop, YKB Entertainment's CEO. Oh Daebak, a striking supporting role in Grey City, depicted a gambling-crazed madman who even abandoned his own identity. A character so vibrant, he would utterly steal every scene. Through Oh Daebak, Do Yoon-seop orchestrated Kim Hwan's public ascent, a master of recognizing actors who promised profit. A trifecta of ambition, more wealth for Do Yoon-seop, greater fame for Kim Hwan, and a potentially final opportunity for the man with glasses. He convinced himself this was no corrupt maneuver, but a necessity. Back in reality, Kwak In-ho's angry shouts pierced Ji Cheol-gun's frustrated thoughts. Ji Cheol-gun's cutting question struck Kwak In-ho with unexpected force. Kwak In-ho's surprise quickly curdled into furious indignation. Ji Cheol-gun brutally laid bare Kwak In-ho's decline, labeling him a clueless has-been. Kwak In-ho's furious eyes demanded an end to Ji Cheol-gun's self-delusion. A cruel smirk twisted Ji Cheol-gun's face as he insinuated bribery. Smack, Kwak In-ho's fist connected with brutal force. Stunned, Ji Cheol-gun questioned Kwak In-ho's sanity, only to be met with a bitter retort about pride. His gaze sharpened, a dangerous silence descended. Kwak In-ho's accusations about hell of distrust fueled the chaos as a bystander urgently called for intervention. Their furious voices clashed, Kwak In-ho blaming poor casting, Ji Cheol-gun deflecting fault for others' misdeeds. Kwak In-ho grappled him, demanding answers about Lee Tae-gyu and alleged payments, while Ji Cheol-gun questioned his fierce resistance. Then, the name Kim Hwan clicked into place. Kwak In-ho furiously accused him of protecting Kim Hwan, fearing Lee Tae-gyu would eclipse their chosen actor. A subtle smirk was his only, telling, answer. With a confident smirk, he accepted the challenge. He roared a defiant challenge, promising to expose Kwak In-ho's rotten judgment in front of everyone. Kwak In-ho questioned his readiness for public humiliation, but the man with glasses vowed the loser would vanish. The day yielded to a tranquil, orange-pink sunset. A quiet hallway absorbed the last rays of light. His humble apartment lay in muted, quiet repose. Rub, a hand wearily raked through dark, messy hair. Lee Jin-hyung, tired yet resolute, adjusted his disheveled appearance. Click, his hand found the switch, illuminating the space. Grab, his fingers gripped the backpack strap. Two hands clutched an envelope heavy with Korean currency. Lee Jin-hyung mentally confirmed his emergency cash, bracing for departure. Creak, the door opened to a path unknown. His foot crossed the threshold, leaving old paths behind. Under the fading light, Lee Jin-hyung raced, desperate to catch his bus. With resolute steps, Lee Jin-hyung strode purposefully down the street. A raised hand summoned a waiting taxi. The driver's wary question about payment was met with Lee Jin-hyung's firm confirmation. With payment assured, the taxi began its journey into the city. Lee Jin-hyung announced their destination, Kongland, leaving the driver questioning if he should just stop the car now. The silent ritual of the game commenced, each card a hidden fate. The wheel whirred, a dizzying spiral of impending fortune. Each pull promised a shimmering fantasy, the slots jingling their hypnotic song. A polite welcome ushered patrons into the vibrant heart of manufactured possibility. A dazed despair washed over him, a cruel end to any lingering hope. He absorbed the overwhelming energy, the casino's pulse a stark rhythm against his plans. Kongland pulsed with 1,000 untold stories, each patron caught in its opulent, bustling embrace. A grim resolve settled in his eyes, it was time for the game to begin. His hands blazed with purple light, conjuring a maniacal spectral grin, a testament to his chilling power. A wave of raw emotion ripped through the room, wrenching visceral reactions from every soul. The shimmering casino faded as a new, demanding path beckoned. The black van hummed steadily, carrying its passengers towards their next destination. The driver affirmed his understanding, a professional calm in the car. He relayed the crucial advice about ad-libbing, then gestured for their next passenger to enter. A sly curiosity played on his lips as he inquired about the call. The caller was named, but his casual dismissal suggested little concern. He stressed the importance of practicing ad-libs, a key point for the upcoming audition. He chafed at the continued discussion, wishing the topic would simply conclude. The driver suspected a need for superficial legitimacy. The driver's simple encouragement merely mirrored his quiet self-assurance. Behind the dark glass, a sharp calculation gleamed. He pondered the stark contrast between his public persona and the demanding role of O'Dayback. His manager laughed, playfully assuring him he was a perfect match for the role. His exaggerated protestations were met with her dismissive, knowing, "Pfft." His performance deepened, unsettling her with a flash of genuine concern. The playful mask dissolved, revealing a chillingly serious gaze. He unleashed a cruel torrent of words, stripping away her composure, leaving her visibly shaken. The driver's fury erupted, a sharp rebuke slicing through the tension. His cold diatribe continued, his hand resting oppressively, cementing her profound distress. A final, cutting question sealed her silent, utter defeat. His words hung in the air, carried by the steady hum of the moving vehicle. Shaking with humiliation, she stammered a broken, tearful apology. The driver's rage flared anew, a thunderous admonition. A cruel, knowing smirk twisted his lips. Then, the chilling question, how was that? Her tear-stained gaze drifted away, still reeling from the performance. His jaw tightened, a silent fury simmering beneath the surface. He calmly justified his harshness, calling it mere practice for the psycho role he yearned to embody. He offered a gentle smile, assuring her his words held no real malice. Amidst the manager's sobs and the driver's demands, Kim Hwan offered a quick, hollow apology. The road manager's bitter thoughts raged, wishing failure upon his serene, smiling charge. Yet, the harsh truth of the industry remained, Kim Hwan possessed undeniable, innate talent. A nervous quiet settled over the hallway, filled with the collective aspirations of the hopeful actors. One man's intense gaze devoured the words of his script. The stakes of their gamble burned intensely in his singular eye. Kwak In-ho's furious defiance underscored the bet, win this or vanish from the industry. He conceded the role's contention stemmed from pride, yet held firm to the ideal of merit. He wondered how Lee Tae-gyu, standing confidently behind him, would approach the role. A sudden, stark realization about AD-LIB jolted him. His surprised glance acknowledged the boisterous newcomer's arrival. With confident strides, Kim Hwan declared the room's atmosphere crazy. He introduced himself with an overwhelming, practiced exuberance, hoping to charm his way into continued connection. 3 seasoned contenders watched, a mix of surprise and annoyance on their faces. His manager tried to intervene, but he silenced her with a playful, shush. He casually mentioned a craving for shaved ice, earning an exasperated, clipped command from his manager. As Kim Hwan remarked on his manager's stiffness, another actor quickly recalled the web drama rookie's rapid ascent. He quickly understood why everyone hailed Kim Hwan as a genius. He truly shone, his vibrant energy a sparkling, undeniable gem amongst the rest. Other hopefuls reflected on the grim truth, light diminishes with every hard-won lesson. Under a focused beam, Kim Hwan strode past the silent, watching crowd of his rivals. Indeed, his confident demeanor suggested a life unblemished by true failure. The crisp announcement cut through the quiet, signaling the audition's imminent start. With a collective rustle, candidates entered the bright room, facing the stoic panel of judges. 2 judges meticulously absorbed the words on their scripts. The offer to void their old wager was firmly, silently rejected. He warned of future regret, then anxiously inquired about Lee Tae-gyu's whereabouts. A figure appeared, starkly backlit, commanding all attention. His gaze sharpened, fixated on the unfolding entrance. Frustration broke the silence, only to be met with a calm, impactful statement, "He's here." A confident stride echoed as Ji Cheol-gun's unwavering certainty took hold. Ji Cheol-gun's thoughts scorned Kwak In-ho, convinced he could never find a talent rivaling Kim Hwan. Kwak In-ho gasped, utterly stunned by the newcomer. A figure entered, embodying every weary failure in the world. Yet, his dejection melted into a sly smile, eyes gleaming with hidden purpose. Lee Tae-gyu's grim intensity held a silent, heavy weight. A low, guttural "hat" escaped his shadowed lips, a sinister prelude. Unburdened by empathy, 2 judges shared a light-hearted, yet utterly dismissive, laugh. A genuine gasp of disbelief escaped him, baffled by the sheer oddity before his eyes. A smug smirk twisted his lips, convinced he'd cracked the mystery of the supposed homeless guy. But a dread far deeper than pity curdled in his gut, urging him to avert his gaze. An insistent scream echoed in his mind, absolute non-involvement was the only way to survive. A shared, uneasy silence hung between them, broken only by a soft, nervous tapping as one noted his undeniable strangeness. Kwak In-ho faced a loaded question, the incredulity evident: where on earth had he unearthed such an applicant? Kwak In-ho offered a measured welcome, met by a sheepish, evasive chuckle about prior obligations. Kwak In-ho delivered his firm assessment: a mandatory transformation was required before any performance. His intense gaze sought the specifics, awaiting the crucial next step. Kwak In-ho's blunt directive for immediate grooming was met with a surprised but accepting acknowledgement. Applicant Young In-gyu launched into his performance with frenzied, shouting energy. "Thank you." Next, she chirped, sealing another applicant's fate with a casual, practiced dismissal. Applicant Kim Soo-ho entered the stage, his gaze wild, a menacing hammer clutched in his hand. His skeptical question hung in the air, a quiet pronouncement of impending failure. A raw, visceral "ugh" tore from his throat, a testament to his sheer discomfort. A desperate "herk" preceded his collapse, his cries of "arg" silenced by the indifferent call for Young Il-soo. Another applicant's desperate "hrugugh" met Kwak In-ho's calm, detached observation of their demise. This intense focus was for Grey City, Kwak In-ho's deeply personal passion project. Noir, a genre often conjuring visions of brutal violence and expletives, painted in shadows and neon. Yet, he knew, such superficiality alone did not define it. Kwak In-ho believed true noir demanded more than just surface-level grit. For him, the true pulsating heart of noir was always unyielding desire. The violence, the spectacle, all were mere conduits to expose raw emotion, seeking actors capable of that profound depth. Lee Tae-gyu's impact was undeniable, leaving the man with glasses to grapple with a complex, unacknowledged debt. He knew the industry's brutal truth: value vanished without sales, condemning him to the label of a washed-up egomaniac. Yet, a fierce resolve burned within him, ready to prove his worth against all odds. He believed his discerning eye remained uncorrupted, a silent challenge in the watchful room. With a crisp, professional tone, he announced the conclusion of auditions for the Kim Min role. The sudden pivot to the "Oh Daebak" role created a ripple of anticipation amongst the judges. A jolt of sudden understanding flashed through him as the name "Oh Daebak" resonated with unspoken significance. Kwak In-ho's direct address, "Writer," cut through the quiet anticipation. With a confident smirk, he quickly suggested starting with Lee Tae-gyu, offering to read the other lines himself. A wave of profound skepticism washed over Kwak In-ho, questioning the wisdom of the proposal. A simmering resentment boiled over, triggering an argument that the older woman in traditional attire futilely attempted to quell. The man with glasses delivered a sharp, sarcastic jab, to which Kwak In-ho responded with a steely challenge to maintain integrity. A wry, dismissive "give me a break" escaped him, a confident scoff at the lingering tension. The official announcement heralded the start of the "Oh Daebak" auditions, calling forth applicant number 85. Then, Lee Tae-gyu stepped forward, his transformed appearance instantly commanding all attention. A collective gasp rippled through the judges, utterly stunned by the visual transformation. A choked "irk" escaped one judge, met by another's piercing, unblinking scrutiny. His polite, nervous introduction was undercut by a deeply unsettling, almost menacing, aura. A flicker of ironic admiration, tinged with sarcasm, acknowledged the writer's unexpected planning. Kwak In-ho's sharp counterattack accused him of stage managing the performance, challenging his own stated principles. Still, his inner conviction remained unshakable: emotion was the undeniable engine of all true acting. It was the precise fusion of individual, context, feeling, and consequent action. True acting, then, was nothing less than the profound creation of an entirely new self. Such concept work was merely a cheap, empty shell, a flimsy disguise for artistic feebleness. He laid out the scene, promising unpredictable ad-libs, a deliberate challenge designed to test true improvisational skill. The signal was given, and as number 85 opened his mouth, a profound shift began. Then, Lee Tae-gyu vanished before their disbelieving eyes, replaced by a grotesque, smoke-shrouded mockery. An invisible, overwhelming stench of failure, booze, and desperation choked the air, assaulting his senses. Where a man once stood, now loomed a terrifying, debased form, human-shaped but utterly vile. A wave of raw panic erupted through the observers, their shouts of disbelief echoing in the sudden chaos. From the darkness, a single, chilling word emerged, "You." With cold, raw authority, he pointed downward, issuing an unmistakable command to relinquish that thing. A stuttering plea for clarification escaped him, his mind reeling in bewildered terror. A violent, shattered the air as a hand slammed down, a brutal, sudden impact. "You little shit," Lee Tae-gyu snarled, his voice laced with venom, claiming the paper as his own lost money. Amidst his pure terror, a dawning, horrifying recognition flickered, "Oh Dayback. Oh Dayback." With a violent, Lee Tae-gyu grabbed him, silencing his choked, terrified protests with brutal force. Kwak In-ho could only stammer, utterly stunned into disbelief by the unfolding violence. His intense, shadowed gaze swung over his shoulder, a silent, powerful challenge. "How is this your money?" the man with glasses roared, his fury met by Lee Tae-gyu's utterly bewildering request to unlock a phone password. A burning rage ignited within him, cursing Kwak In-ho as a crazy bastard for this shocking deception. Kwak In-ho's voice, thick with disgust, severed their bond. "I don't even want to call you Hyung anymore." An aggressive hand reached out, its motion brimming with unspoken menace. The chaotic scene lay in ruins, a testament to the raw, uncontrolled power of a true gambling addict. The man with glasses angrily accused Hyung of losing his mind, demanding to know why a real gambling addict was allowed to cause such chaos. A powerful performance, the narration mused, truly shaped a person into existence. The chilling label resonated, a real gambling addict. That, it was revealed, was Ji Cheol-gun's honest assessment. And on a dark street corner, a tattered flyer for a gambling strategy study group at Rose Motel Room 401 promised illicit knowledge. This was what Lee Tae-gyu would soon encounter. An unseen voice beckoned him in, inviting him to experience it all for himself. The remnant spoke of prolonged, careless neglect. A young woman with blonde hair practically vibrated with triumph, announcing their hit rate chart had soared back to a proper V-shape. The man with an eye patch shared a superstitious strategy, detailing how they would target names with the water radical to extend their lucky streak. The burly man with short dark hair delivered a grim warning about baccarat, a game that could utterly wreck one's entire life once addiction took hold. While the burly man declared their existence was rooted in gambling, an invitation was extended for Lee Tae-gyu to join their illicit strategy meeting. The burly man, with cynical understanding, acknowledged Lee Tae-gyu's likely troubled reasons for being there, earning a quiet thank you. He then questioned Lee Tae-gyu's unusual cheerfulness, which defied the typical despair of their patrons. Lee Tae-gyu deflected, asking if his demeanor truly appeared so. An unprecedented, raw intensity surged through him, an otherworldly sensation. Lee Tae-gyu's voice cracked with manic glee, confessing he was too pumped to calm down. The burly man with short dark hair uttered a fatalistic truth: his arrival here was simply inevitable. The thrill proved fleeting. By the fourth day at Kango Land, a shadow fell as one of the women vanished without a trace. The man with an eye patch casually recounted the woman's gruesome fate, her final joy a chilling testament to her desperation. Lee Tae-gyu pieced together the grim reality, remembering the illicit flyer he had once seen advertising desperate measures in a public restroom. The stark realization hit him: remaining there was no longer an option, a sentiment Lee Tae-gyu himself had been anxiously contemplating. The man with an eye patch noted his quick decision, offering a mysterious tip to start him on his new path. He insisted his suggestion was safer, and would become manageable with practice. Lee Tae-gyu posed a subtly intense question about unforgettable games. After that pivotal moment, Lee Tae-gyu made a stark promise to himself, sealed over a coin toss with 200 on each flip. His resolve was firm: he would never again entangle himself with those whose minds had been utterly scrambled by gambling. The thought still resonated: a real gambling addict. The man with spiky brown hair sharply questioned the brevity. The man with spiky brown hair pressed, challenging the man with glasses for his seemingly dismissive assessment of number 85. The man with glasses' fury erupted. He deemed it no answer at all, accusing his colleague of unleashing a lunatic. He spat out further accusations, implying drunken irresponsibility in bringing the man from Kango land. He cut himself off with a sharp, abrupt throat clearing. A strained apology escaped his lips. The young man with red jacket bowed deeply, apologizing for his intense, trouble-causing outburst. He then, with hopeful uncertainty, requested another chance to perform. The man with glasses gasped, utterly stunned by the sudden, inexplicable disappearance of the smell. The young man with red jacket felt disoriented, questioning the vanishing stench of dayback, or rather, that human trash. The man with glasses frantically demanded an explanation for the impossible disappearance. Onlookers gasped in astonishment, the bald man confessing he was terrified, as the man with glasses declared he had truly transformed. The bald man, sensing the unsettled tension, suggested a break, noting how shaken everyone appeared. A silent jaw clench accompanied the man with glasses' grudging, irritated agreement. Water flowed steadily, signaling the utilitarian space. In the bright, sterile restroom, Lee Tae-gyu leaned, lost in somber reflection. The man with glasses, dripping with stress, declared his urgent need for a plan. The accusing words echoed in his mind, prompting the man with glasses to utter a despairing curse. With fierce determination, he vowed to somehow rectify the escalating disaster. But the question loomed: how could he possibly undo such a powerful, challenging performance? The man with glasses mused, troubled, that the act was less acting and more a profound transformation. Water streamed steadily from the faucet. Lee Tae-gyu offered a polite but strained thank you to PDG for his judging work. He then addressed Director Jang, acknowledging with knowing formality that his thoughts were already understood. The man in suit asked a direct, professional question about Hwan's casting. The man in suit offered risky reassurance, which the man with glasses met with sharp skepticism regarding his confidence. He stated with resolute professionalism that Hwan's selection was imperative for his CEO. He then added a manipulative edge, implying that the man with glasses' own predicament made Hwan's choice even more critical. The man with glasses argued emphatically that pure acting was insufficient, pointing out the extreme rarity of such transformative talent in the entire country. The man in suit, with dismissive pragmatism, openly declared his lack of interest in acting itself. He asserted that only results mattered, defining a good actor as one who commanded public attention the moment they appeared, transcending mere skill. The man with glasses then posed a challenging question: could number 85 truly surpass Kim Hwan in public appeal? He dismissed the notion with frustrated incredulity, arguing a nobody couldn't possibly compete with an ex-idol's professional agility and quick reflexes. Then, in an electrifying flash, the word agility sparked a sudden epiphany. With triumphant energy, the man with glasses declared he had found a way for Kim Hwan to defeat Lee Tae-gyu. He ecstatically unveiled his strategy: pit them in pure ad-lib, leveraging Kim Hwan's overwhelming idol advantage of improvisation and spur-of-the-moment reflexes. The man in suit calmly observed his much-improved mood. With purposeful footsteps, the man in suit declared he would relay the plan to Hwan. 2 sets of feet stood poised. A quick movement then broke the stillness. A figure in a hoodie slid past, as the young man with red jacket observed calmly. The man with purple hair began a calm, direct instruction. His authoritative voice simply ordered to go easy on number 85, Lee Tae-gyu. The start of a promised indulgence was offered to the man. 3 sweet concoctions sat, ready for sweet satisfaction. Each sweet, cold sip proved utterly delightful, a taste as satisfying as the finest la galbi. The cheerful man's open-ended offer, demanding only an hour, made him wonder if he'd misjudged a truly benevolent soul. A sudden, inexplicable tremor still echoed in his mind, unsettling his brief peace. A sudden, heavy dizziness overcame him, pulling him out of the moment and leaving him emotionally adrift. The searing sensation, like a flame abruptly reversing course, recoiled into his very core. He pondered whether his recent struggles were mere exhaustion, or something deeper, reminiscent of his potent connection to Du Guangxian's essence. He decided to push his boundaries, convinced the sugar coursing through him would provide the necessary spark. A buzzing interruption arrived from Kwak In-ho. He calmly answered, acknowledging the call from writer Kwak. A single word of incredulity escaped his lips. An ad-lib showdown echoed with a hint of disquiet from the man with slick-back brown hair. The man with glasses confessed the profound difficulty in discerning superior talent between the two AD-LIB auditionees. For that precise reason, the man with glasses explained, only the 2 equally impressive actors had been summoned. Their task, an improv scene, each embodying AD-LIB, battling against their shared portrayal. The cheerful man offered a deep, apologetic bow, hoping for understanding in this sudden, challenging request. Far from troubled, the man with slick-back brown hair declared it a long-desired challenge against a fellow performer. His own quiet resolve affirmed his acceptance of the terms. A sliver of satisfaction bloomed as his intricate scheme advanced precisely as intended. Kim Hwan's acting, he reflected, was textbook flawless and efficient, technically strong enough to be pushed to its limits. Yet, against the sheer, dark force of number 85, Lee Tae-gyu, Kim Hwan simply could not prevail. The inevitable conclusion began to form in his mind. He was compelled to orchestrate conditions that would heavily bias the seasoned, working actor. The man with glasses declared an immediate start to the challenge. He set the scene. A hypothetical suitcase overflowing with cash lay between the 2 contenders. AD-LIB, he clarified, would ruthlessly fight for that money, a direct echo from the original, brutal script. The crucial difference, 2 AD-LIBs now existed. He commanded them to reveal their individual methods for seizing the cash, granting them precisely 3 minutes. A final word hung in the air, a prelude to the impending confrontation. Action, the call ripped through the air, catching the man with slick-back brown hair in mid-thought. His voice laced with disbelief, he questioned the improv challenge against number 85. The manager's apologetic tone confirmed the scenario, hinting that in classical acting, number 85's dominance was unquestionable. He conceded the possibility with a smirk, not entirely averse to a single confrontation with his opponent. He pressed the question, probing the true depth of number 85's rumored brilliance. A sharp retort, laced with indignation, recalled a forgotten agreement with the PD. The manager humbly offered his apologies for the unforeseen complications, pleading for their understanding. With a dismissive laugh, he assured them of his lack of anger, yet revealed a singular request born of lingering apprehension. He made a stark, vulnerable plea, to treat his acting with utmost kindness. A sudden jolt of apprehension seized the man with glasses. With a casual wave, he announced a brief respite before his return. Lee Tae-gyu scoffed inwardly at their foolishness, ridiculing their inability to discern true talent. If judgment proved too complex, he would graciously provide the definitive answer himself. Just another clown peddling stale, method acting, he mused, likely researching at the nearest card game or slot machine. True acting, he knew, transcended mere real-life experience. Acting sprang from raw talent, he believed, a fusion of sharp instinct, rapid wit, and unyielding courage. Only the truly gifted endure this cruel world, their rough brilliance acknowledged only after survival, a fate he claimed as his own. Though sharing humanity, he internally separated himself, rising far above the common extras around him. The forceful impact tore through the air, embodying the stark truth: same material, yet coal and diamonds diverge profoundly. "You lumps of coal," the unvoiced thought resonated with the fierce, dominating grab. "Wanna die, you punk," he roared, fueled by the conviction that others existed merely to amplify his own blinding brilliance. An onlooker's mind registered the unspoken rule: an extra's true purpose was to remain firmly in a supporting role. His stunned mind simply registered the effortless performance of a gaping mouth. The man with glasses contemplatively noted the potent simplicity of a raw reaction. The improv continued as he meekly addressed his oppressor. A profound immersion in character allowed an actor to reshape the very current of the narrative itself. "You're looking down on me too, aren't you?" he seethed, bringing the character vividly to life without a single written word. Such an actor elevated a mere moment into an unforgettable scene, transforming a good story into a gripping spectacle. The singular, furious decree demanded one truth: one must shatter the bounds of the written script. The onlookers recognized the rare, brilliant gem who could truly transcend the script. Kim Hwan's cold metaphor held true: the worn, shabby adversary was indeed merely coal. He, himself, was the blinding, shining diamond in this brutal display. Naturally, the camera would recoil from the one destined to shatter, refusing to linger on their destruction. He gasped, embodying the dull, lifeless fate of the inferior. Crack. Smash, yet in the brutal reality, the very opposite held true, and perceptions were violently reversed. An ordinary door remained closed. Suddenly, the door burst open as Ji Cheol-gun emerged. A collision jarred the hallway, but Ji Cheol-gun's fear transcended the physical, his steps echoing a deepening dread as he grappled with the monster he'd just witnessed. A torrent of water cascaded into the basin. Ji Cheol-gun rinsed away the chaos, a whispered recognition of someone's sheer genius already clinging to his stunned mind. The question exploded from his core, an impossible feat still echoing in his mind. His scripted performance was a mere transformation, yet the moment he truly began to act, Lee Tae-gyu already radiated a transcendent brilliance. Yet, the raw audacity of that ad-lib still rattled his very soul. The solid ground beneath his feet now felt disturbingly like a threadbare casino floor. The phantom clatter of unseen chips echoed, impossible yet undeniable. Even the phantom scent of alcohol, a light, disorienting buzz, seeped into the air. A sharp, sudden burst of laughter escaped him. His laughter spiraled into a manic frenzy, yet the ceaseless chills proved the true horror had only just begun. Kwak In-ho's determined voice pierced the silence, exposing Ji Cheol-gun's futile attempt to retreat. Ji Cheol-gun's surprise quickly dissolved as Kwak In-ho's familiar chiding unearthed his old habit of escaping to the bathroom whenever things went awry. A bitter tisk preceded his enraged accusation that Kwak In-ho savored his downfall. Kwak In-ho coolly conceded the point, then offered a swift, pragmatic escape route: apologize now, and he'd provide a bathroom emergency alibi. Ji Cheol-gun's fury simmered, met by Kwak In-ho's taunting challenge, weighing whether stubborn pride was worth a forced retirement. He defiantly declared his apathy, pinning all the blame squarely on Kim Hwan for derailing his meticulously crafted plans. Then, a thunderous realization crashed through him: Lee Tae-gyu wasn't a gambler, but an actual, untamed rookie actor. Ji Cheol-gun, suddenly animated, yelled out to his hyung, completely abandoning his earlier grievances for a new, electrifying discovery. He bombarded Kwak In-ho with eager questions, dissecting Lee Tae-gyu's unknown theatrical origins. Kwak In-ho dismissed the details, declaring Lee Tae-gyu a raw, uncut gem, a claim Ji Cheol-gun swiftly appropriated as his own discovery. He swelled with pride, branding himself the hidden master who unearthed Lee Tae-gyu, a talent with no baggage, no experience, and no agency, which meant a perfectly clean rookie, primed for their picking. Kwak In-ho's unimpressed and punctured the lofty declaration. As dusk draped the city in hues of purple and pink, the YKB Entertainment headquarters awaited. Within the CEO's plush office, Director Jang stood solemnly while the manager sat, deep in thought. The manager's voice broke the quiet, summoning Director Jang. Director Jang responded with a quiet affirmation. With quiet resolve, the manager laid bare his personal creed: a Scorpio always settled their debts. Director Jang, understanding the weight of those words, acknowledged him. The manager's voice sharpened, demanding to know if PDG had defied orders or if the message itself had simply failed to land. Director Jang's apology was met with a chilling directive: call reporters, prepare a few choice scoops, and ensure Ji Cheol-gun enjoyed a very, very long and involuntary vacation. With a curt dismissal, the manager sent Director Jang away, expecting feedback on Kim Hwan to follow. The heavy double doors clicked shut behind him. The manager muttered Kim Hwan's name, laden with contempt. Feedback, he scoffed, his anger simmering at the industry's charlatans, convinced that true dedication would have paved Chungnyeoro in solid gold by now. He turned to Kim Gwang-woo, pointedly reminding him of a past lesson. You can't spoil such shallow kids, he lectured, dissecting their superficial efforts, convinced they lacked any true ambition beyond mere complaints. He paused, acknowledging Kim Gwang-woo's own insight before steering the conversation to his next point. Kim Gwang-woo inquired who had proven to be the truly astonishing success. A gentle musical chime caught Kim Gwang-woo's attention. His finger pressed to his lips, a silent command for discretion. The manager offered a slight, understanding nod. A faint smile played on Kim Gwang-woo's lips as he expressed surprise at the direct call, playfully questioning his own perceived uselessness. Meanwhile, Ji Cheol-gun held his phone, his expression etched with a nervous contemplation. The manager sighed, deeming Ji Cheol-gun quite a piece of work himself. The manager, clearly amused, speculated Ji Cheol-gun hadn't called just for a scolding, then invited him to speak, eager for the ensuing entertainment. A single, sharp "what?" conveyed Kim Gwang-woo's utter disbelief. An actor, to their side. Despite his surprise, Kim Gwang-woo agreed to a meeting, insisting on seeing the talent firsthand. A gentle click, then his hands glided across the desk, ready to review. The manager's smirk returned, wondering what urgent plea had just unfolded. Kim Gwang-woo revealed the caller's astonishing news: a rookie had bested Hwan, and the proof was now en route. The manager's surprise was palpable: a rookie had defeated Hwan. He demanded to see the footage immediately. On the screen, a nervous hello marked the beginning of the playback. Kim Gwang-woo's quiet right affirmed his intense focus. Hello, I'm number 85, Lee Tae-gyu. A small, steady image on the office laptop introduced itself, yet the quiet voice held a compelling gravity. But the very room began to warp, transforming around them into something else entirely. They were suddenly immersed in a late-night movie theater, consumed by a performance that utterly devoured their consciousness. The manager turned to Kim Gwang-woo, seeking an actor's insight, only to hear how profoundly, yet inarticulately, he felt it. Indeed, the manager mused, deciding that as a businessman, he could articulate the situation far more simply. This young talent's market value, his true price tag, was clear. He confirmed to PDG that this moment marked the lowest it would ever be. Kwak In-ho warmly suggested they share a drink to celebrate. Lee Tae-gyu readily accepted the invitation with quiet enthusiasm. Mugs clinked, spilling foam in a joyful toast. Kwak In-ho boisterously declared a cheers, as their celebration continued. The audition's aftermath brought Kwak In-ho career redemption and launched Lee Tae-gyu's journey toward acting, each quietly content with their turning point. Kwak In-ho, sensing a kindred spirit, reassured Lee Tae-gyu to indulge, knowing his future schedule would soon be packed. He burst with triumphant glee, relishing the thought of Kim Hwan's humiliation at the upcoming script reading. Yet, Lee Tae-gyu's innocent question about script readings hinted at his surprising lack of basic knowledge. Kwak In-ho's amusement turned to slight bewilderment at Lee Tae-gyu's unfamiliarity with acting fundamentals. Lee Tae-gyu simply radiated genuine confusion. Kwak In-ho probed, asking if he was embarrassed to have studied acting for so long, only for Lee Tae-gyu to truthfully confess he hadn't. Kwak In-ho, now completely swayed, recognized an innate genius within Lee Tae-gyu. Lee Tae-gyu's profound power lay in his face, effortlessly channeling raw emotion, a magnetic force that captivated every discerning eye. His visible blush, however, only underscored the raw sincerity of his expressive talent. Kwak In-ho, utterly dumbfounded, could only gasp, "The heck," at the sheer audacity. Kwak In-ho's incredulity mounted, demanding if his concept was real. Lee Tae-gyu calmly reiterated he was merely a high school grad in NEET. Kwak In-ho, still processing, pressed him on why he ever started acting without formal training. Lee Tae-gyu simply took a long, quenching gulp. Lee Tae-gyu's simple, heartfelt answer was merely, "Because it's fun." Lee Tae-gyu's stark honesty triggered a flurry of new questions from a stunned Kwak In-ho. Lee Tae-gyu revealed his life of part-time studio work, home practice, and viewing the wedding gig as mere training. Unaccustomed to sharing, he recounted his story with the open delight of a child. Kwak In-ho's piercing gaze analyzed his improbable, self-made path. His dedication resembled a martial artist's quest, abandoning all worldly ties to forge mastery through countless repetitions. He cast aside all else, devoted solely to his impossible artistic pursuit. Kwak In-ho, aghast, struggled to comprehend Lee Tae-gyu's financial sacrifices, questioning such dedication for an already profound skill. For Kwak In-ho, such talent represented a pristine canvas. A pure, untainted surface, stripped of life's hues, allowed every emotional stroke to blaze forth with startling clarity. Kwak In-ho thought him mad, yet precisely what an actor should become. Believing Lee Tae-gyu had honed his craft for years, Kwak In-ho enthusiastically offered his mentorship, eager to reciprocate the favor. Lee Tae-gyu, ever practical, cut to the chase, asking if acting offered a viable income. Kwak In-ho simply uttered a bewildered, "Huh." Lee Tae-gyu, flustered, rephrased his concern, could acting truly sustain him without needing other jobs? Kwak In-ho responded with grim wisdom, actors, like gamblers, could secure a lifetime of passion with a single, monumental jackpot. Kwak In-ho's boast of past mentorship earned a genuinely awestruck whoa. His earnest desire to grasp proper basics led him to request acting textbooks. Kwak In-ho questioned basics, yet Lee Tae-gyu admitted he still felt a fundamental unfamiliarity with acting. Kwak In-ho, swayed by his humility, embraced the coming success, declaring, "All right." Kwak In-ho enthusiastically vowed to teach Lee Tae-gyu everything, from acting techniques to the industry's harsh contractual realities. His only condition, dominate the upcoming script reading. Kwak In-ho urged him to unveil the true essence of acting. The next morning, a groggy Lee Tae-gyu found himself pondering not real acting, but a more primal need. He woke drenched in a monstrous hangover, desperately croaking for water. A crap ton of soju beer mixes from last night culminated in a miserable, heaving herc. Despite the agony, the evening's rewards, like the bounty of side dishes, made it all worthwhile. Staggering home, he absorbed countless industry anecdotes, Kwak In-ho's arm his only anchor. He also secured a promise of A-tier acting textbooks, a future treasure. Lee Tae-gyu, finally emerging from his fog, realized his uncharged phone held a flood of alarming messages. He scrolled through messages, his name for the role of Oh Dae-bak, and a script reading scheduled just 5 days away, snapping him to attention. Kwak In-ho's earlier words about the script reading's crucial importance echoed in his mind. And more, the reading was the day to unleash his honed weapon, a vivid, pink-hued power within his grasp. He considered his talent less sharpened than a cheat code, one he couldn't possibly ignore. After the audition, a startling revelation emerged, his capacity to store intense emotions doubled, a swirling surge of new power. He theorized about his emotional Will-O-Wisp's increase, linking it to the strain of his gambler's journey, but found no definitive answers. Yet, his newfound dual emotional capacity filled him with ambitious confidence. He'd master this power and perhaps, even expand it further. A ringing phone shattered his contemplation. He answered with a cautious, "Hello." He confirmed his identity and audition, admitting with a soft mutter he had no agency. The caller simply responded, "I see." Lee Tae-gyu's surprise peaked as he questioned how they obtained his number. The man calmly explained he received his contact from PDG Cheol-gun, an audition judge. He then introduced himself as Jang Yong-hoo, a YKB Entertainment Department head who had observed Lee Tae-gyu at the audition. Lee Tae-gyu's eyes widened in sudden recognition, piecing together the caller's identity. Abruptly, his phone died mid-conversation. Jang Yong-hoo cried out, startled by the sudden silence. Confusion etched his face. What was that, he wondered. Jang Yong-hoo misconstrued the abrupt hang-up as a deliberate play, unknowingly adding to the burgeoning misunderstanding surrounding Lee Tae-gyu. An empty, brightly lit hallway awaited, the metallic elevator doors sealed shut. Two men stood, hands in pockets, a silent prelude to the unfolding drama. Okay. Kim Gwang-woo's disbelief was palpable. The receiver dropped the instant YKB was mentioned. The man with slicked-back brown hair offered a noncommittal hum, lost in calculation. He asserted that such acting prowess inherently commanded self-awareness, surely bolstered by veteran guidance. A universal truth, he mused, people's hearts always gravitated towards perceived worth. He scorned the low-level contact, seeing it as an insult to the actor's talent, a mere trifle compared to what others offered. Given the audition's public nature and the judge's industry ties, he surmised, other agencies had undoubtedly made their bids. Kim Gwang-woo conceded that, the monster's reputation would have spread like wildfire by now. He wondered with a frown if rival Dale Entertainment had already made their move. The man with slick-back brown hair confidently stated that a rookie wouldn't feign offense at a YKB call without other, grander offers. Kim Gwang-woo questioned whether talent alone warranted such aloofness, arguing a hidden master wasn't automatically a recluse. With a predatory grin, he pressed, "You're going to devour him, right?" The man with slick-back brown hair gazed upward, his face a mask of resolute contemplation. A single, sharp tap broke the silence, signaling a decision made. The man with slick-back brown hair declared with absolute certainty that the actor would be profitable. Meanwhile, Lee Tae-gyu stood amidst the urban hum, phone clutched in hand. Lee Tae-gyu confirmed his destination, a colossal building that now loomed before him. The narration revealed YKB Entertainment, a typical talent agency profiting from its actors, and its owner's fierce determination to acquire Lee Tae-gyu. For any agency, the definition of a truly good actor was about to be revealed. It was someone whose raw emotion could sear them into the public consciousness, unforgettable. And the indelible mark that sealed such an image was more than mere performance. It was a single line of dialogue, branding itself into the brain, echoing long after the words were spoken. Do-yoon-seop, sensing a future phenomenon, realized the actor possessed the elusive magic to create the season's next viral catchphrase. Kim Gwang-woo analyzed the hang-up not as a refusal, but as a calculated demand for a more significant overture from a higher-ranking executive. Do-yoon-seop calmly uttered a single, expectant hello. He introduced himself as Do-yoon-seop, CEO of YKB Entertainment, and proposed an immediate meeting. His proposal was simple, a quick 30-minute chat, sweetened by an irresistible offer of 1 million won for transportation. With a soft tuk, the phone landed, the call now a memory. The offer was simply too good to refuse, leaving Lee Tae-gyu utterly stunned. A talent agency, he mused, the thought swirling in his mind as he walked. He recalled Kwak In-ho's stern warning, showbiz was a jungle where management was mandatory, especially for a fledgling like himself. Despite lingering uncertainty, he decided he needed it now more than ever, stepping into the revolving doors. He envisioned a dedicated team handling logistics, freeing him to pour all his energy solely into his craft. What he truly craved was unwavering support, a backing that empowered him to pursue his passion without compromise. Lee Tae-gyu calmly informed the receptionist of his appointment with the CEO, stating his name. The receptionist, recognizing him instantly, provided a pass and directed him to the fourth-floor meeting room. With a quiet JJOK, a finger pressed the button for the fourth floor. As the elevator ascended with a gentle WOOWOWO, Lee Tae-gyu noted the impressive 8-story building, grander than he'd imagined. The relaxed atmosphere felt promising, a welcome confirmation of Kwak In-ho's assessment, provided the contract proved fair. He approached the door, steeling himself to navigate the meeting flawlessly. Kim Gwang-woo leaned in, asking for the actor's name once more. Yoon-seop curtly listed the actor's perceived shortcomings: no experience, a mere high school graduate. Kim Gwang-woo expressed utter astonishment, questioning if such talent could emerge without secret, privileged training. Lee Tae-gyu's eye widened in surprise as he peered through the crack. Lee Tae-gyu realized with a jolt that their dissecting voices were describing his own humble, uncredentialed background. Kim Gwang-woo nodded knowingly, identifying the actor as one of those rare souls who lived solely for their craft. Yoon-seop affirmed the observation, a slight smirk playing on his lips. His eyes blazed with a fierce, possessive hunger. I want him. The narration observed the chasm between those who possessed and those who yearned, the former contentedly inspecting their holdings. But those who lacked, gazed upwards with burning ambition, a category Yoon-seop belonged to entirely. Alongside his trusted, 20-year companion, Kim Gwang-woo, he had painstakingly forged YKB from mere aspiration. Despite his immense social and financial success, Yoon-seop's hunger remained insatiable, a perpetual drive for more. His singular ambition to dominate the industry was so potent, it instilled a similar, restless hunger in anyone observing him, including Lee Tae-gyu. That sharp, flashing surge of emotion, a vibrant, swirling energy, indelibly etched itself into their very beings. It felt like something had burned deep, leaving an enduring, raw impression upon him. Kim Gwang-woo advocated for a measured approach, arguing against thuggish tactics when substantial profit was already guaranteed. With a soft gigik, Lee Tae-gyu cautiously pushed open the door and offered a quiet, hello. Yoon-seop, with an unpracticed smile, greeted Lee Tae-gyu warmly. Yoon-seop introduced himself and Kim Gwang-woo, their smooth welcome masking a simple, yet potent, underlying scheme. A formidable duo, the imposing actor and the sly, snake-like CEO, stood ready to verbally dismantle the rookie, consuming him like tempting prey. Kim Gwang-woo gestured for him to sit, yet Lee Tae-gyu wondered if they truly understood the surreal magnetism that had drawn them to him. Yet, in his quiet reflection, Lee Tae-gyu realized the one truly desperate not to miss this opportunity was himself. Before taking his seat, Lee Tae-gyu paused, a singular question hanging in the air. With an unctuous smile, Yoon-seop suavely granted permission to ask anything. A subtle blue aura shimmered as Lee Tae-gyu began to dissect the true nature of their meeting. Kim Gwang-woo's easy confidence shattered, replaced by a sudden, stunned, what? A dark, potent aura enveloped Lee Tae-gyu as he exposed their calculated ploy, questioning their intent to exploit his prescript reading market value. A single step echoed with understated resolve. Lee Tae-gyu's determined stride carried him deeper into the room. As the footsteps approached, Yoon-seop subtly turned, acknowledging the impending encounter. A strange, compelling sensation had already gripped Yoon-seop, stirring his professional curiosity. Lee Tae-gyu, feigning mild confusion, addressed him with a deferential, "Kyung." Yoon-seop, with an effortless smile, extended a polite but empty invitation to be seated. Lee Tae-gyu, keenly aware of the looming script reading, outlined the critical presence of agency representatives. He then provocatively questioned why a CEO would seek out a rookie like him before the industry's business card exchange. Yoon-seop's gaze sharpened, his mind already dissecting Lee Tae-gyu's audacious play. A wry chuckle escaped Yoon-seop, he noted Lee Tae-gyu's unexpected and aggressive candor. Lee Tae-gyu inquired about their acquaintance with PDG Cheol-gun. Yoon-seop smoothly explained his prior complaints about rookies, offering a polished apology for any perceived rudeness. With a raised finger, Yoon-seop sought permission for a pointed question. Yoon-seop laid bare the true nature of script readings, a frantic business for established stars, not a platform for unknown talents. He then bluntly asserted that a minor role like Oh Daebak's would simply be lost in the shuffle. Then, with a direct point, he challenged Lee Tae-gyu, asking if he truly expected all eyes to be on him. Lee Tae-gyu met the challenge with an unervingly serene expression. Of course, Lee Tae-gyu replied with a confident smirk, certain Yoon-seop understood why. The burly man, silent, watched the exchange with growing intrigue. Yoon-seop then prepared to articulate his own rationale. Lee Tae-gyu calmly exposed their calculated overtures, $1,000,000 from Kim Gwang-woo's agency and Yoon-seop's immediate post-audition call. He then deciphered their strategy, building goodwill, and racing past rivals, all for one single, undeniable reason. He ended with a confident flourish, because he was profitable. Yoon-seop questioned if he claimed superior skill to other actors, to which Lee Tae-gyu defiantly replied he wouldn't be there without that conviction. A profound confidence truly spilled from Lee Tae-gyu, eliciting a thoughtful, from Yoon-seop. This unbridled confidence, boasting before an untested audience, was profoundly atypical for any rookie. The true engine powering such boldness was pure, unadulterated ambition and greed, surging from his very core. The sensation was unnervingly familiar, like glimpsing one's own reflection in another. Yoon-seop privately mused on testing Lee Tae-gyu's limits, admitting his initial curiosity stemmed from positive rumors, despite the rookie's exorbitant demands. Lee Tae-gyu rephrased his position bluntly, he would only accept terms that weren't the industry's lowest price. Yoon-seop's carried a hint of surprised amusement. He declared his openness to commercial work, film projects free of vanity, and no desire for a mysterious celebrity persona. He asserted he would state his terms, and if no common ground emerged, he would simply walk away. The meeting, unexpectedly, stretched far beyond its anticipated duration. Yoon-seop's initial instincts solidified into undeniable, weighty fact. A stark conviction grew, this rookie was the very same kind of formidable animal as himself. Lee Tae-gyu, fueled by greed, masterfully manipulated the pressure, pushing and pulling in fierce negotiation. That firm conviction morphed into profound curiosity, and despite the rookie's overt rudeness, CEO Do found himself utterly captivated. Hokusai's great wave crashed with silent, symbolic power. Indeed, he found he simply could not silence the rising, overwhelming force. The burly man, certain Dale Entertainment must have approached him first, had walked out mid-meeting, his resolve unwavering. A definitive thud echoed, signifying he no longer belonged in that intense room. A deep sigh escaped the burly man, heavy with reflection. As he strained with weights, the burly man grimly decided Lee Tae-gyu would need exercise, as they'd be seeing a lot of each other. The essence of the intense negotiation could be summarized. Yoon-seop coolly recited Lee Tae-gyu's audacious demands, a 6-month contract, no trainee period, a dedicated team, and a company car. Yes, Lee Tae-gyu affirmed, adding the contract must be signed before the reading, before Yoon-seop cut in, why should I trust you? Yoon-seop abruptly demanded to know Dale Entertainment's offer. Lee Tae-gyu uttered a soft, caught off guard, sorry. Yoon-seop asserted that contracts between professionals weren't mere boilerplate, but living relationships demanding genuine, heartfelt investment. Lee Tae-gyu retorted, pointing out he'd heard only Yoon-seop's feelings from the outset. Yoon-seop's patience wore thin, challenging if Lee Tae-gyu could truly afford such boldness. Lee Tae-gyu, flustered, clarified his intentions were not to be quite so bold. Yoon-seop, appreciating genuine guts, confessed his suspicion that Lee Tae-gyu had thoroughly researched his ruthless nature. I am a greedy bastard, Yoon-seop declared, adding, if I can't have it, I'll make sure it breaks. He conceded Lee Tae-gyu's terms weren't impossible, the true test was whether he could truly back up his audacious claims. "You won't regret those words." Yoon-seop pressed, a subtle challenge in his tone. "Understood," Lee Tae-gyu conceded, then asked to rephrase his demands with newfound nuance. From off-panel, the burly man finally pressed, "So, what did he say?" Yoon-seop, seeing through the pretense, revealed Lee Tae-gyu's 6-month contract as a tactic after hitting a wall with other agencies. "Probably," Yoon-seop conceded, prompting the burly man to erupt in exasperation at his supposed passive acceptance. "I pressed him," Yoon-seop replied, prompting an eager "and." Yoon-seop, smirking, revealed Lee Tae-gyu's newest demand, a nearby studio due to traffic. "He's crazy," the burly man fumed, only for Yoon-seop to dismiss it as embarrassing histrionics. "Hyung, no way," the burly man exclaimed, accusing Yoon-seop of wanting to gamble after witnessing such a brazen act. Yoon-seop stated firmly that men like them never gambled. Given the choice between rock bottom and death, he preferred to die. Someone pushed to the edge, clutching at acting as a desperate gamble to flip his life, epitomized the stark reality. Thus, Lee Tae-gyu became an investment, an audacious deal that was, against all odds, going through. The long-awaited script reading day dawned, marked by the insistent rush of traffic and the humming of a bustling highway. Inside the car, Yoon-seop felt the first stirrings of apprehension as the destination neared. Beside him, Kwak In-ho navigated the road with a resolute, unwavering focus. Kwak In-ho broke the tense silence, his query hanging in the air, met only by Yoon-seop's terse, unconvincing denial. Yoon-seop tried to explain his actions, but Kwak In-ho cut him off sharply, demanding his attention back to the perilous road. Kwak In-ho pressed for details about the notorious Yoon-seop, while the younger Yoon-seop cynically dismissed the flattery as industry artifice. Kwak In-ho firmly instructed him to bring the contract, his gaze fixed forward as he vowed to scrutinize every line for hidden deceit. Yoon-seop inwardly braced for the inevitable scolding, choosing to delay the revelation of his signed deal, before offering a quiet, grateful, "thank you." Kwak In-ho inquired about the books, and Yoon-seop acknowledged the vastness of his ongoing learning journey. Kwak In-ho praised his persistent beginner's mindset, a rare and admirable trait, to which Yoon-seop responded with characteristic modesty. Kwak In-ho declared that for someone of Yoon-seop's innate talent, hands-on experience vastly outweighed mere book knowledge. Yoon-seop, perceptive, observed that Kwak In-ho seemed to hold significant hopes for the day's events. Kwak In-ho began to speak of Han Joo-hyuk, the lead actor in Grey City, a name laden with unspoken history. Yoon-seop inferred Kwak In-ho's disdain, which prompted a shift in topic to the complex world of writers' crews. Yoon-seop confirmed his awareness of such groups, reminding Kwak In-ho of his own past, thwarted attempt to build one. Kwak In-ho wistfully recalled loyal friends who drifted to films during his success, promising future collaborations that never materialized. A palpable bitterness settled over Kwak In-ho as he recounted their abandonment during his downturn, now working on a rival show, Rotten Punks, indeed. Yoon-seop offered a polite, if somewhat detached, expression of sympathy and encouragement for his struggles. Kwak In-ho teased him about his perpetually deadpan, sympathy, face, to which Yoon-seop simply admitted it was a deeply ingrained habit. Kwak In-ho found that very stoicism endearing, vowing to build his next crew with serious, skilled individuals just like Yoon-seop. In the drama world, big hitmakers cultivated their own formidable crews, named in their honor, composed of serious, focused individuals. As their successes mounted, these writers gained an undeniable influence, wielding significant casting power over projects. Actors who consistently appeared in their works rode that wave of success, establishing their careers alongside these influential figures. Few writers, however, understood the brutal, unforgiving nature of that ascent as intimately as Kwak In-ho. Perhaps that raw understanding explained his trust in the quiet, unreadable man beside him, navigating the relentless urban flow. Yoon-seop possessed a face seemingly devoid of overt emotion, a pure white canvas waiting for any character to be painted upon it. He was a living, natural monument of acting, seemingly interested in nothing else, until he asked, "Do I have something on my face?" Kwak In-ho brusquely announced their arrival, and Yoon-seop responded with a flicker of surprise. As they waited for the elevator, Kwak In-ho, observing his calm demeanor, challenged him, "Not nervous?" Yoon-seop casually confirmed his lack of nerves, prompting Kwak In-ho to confidently assert that his competitors should be the anxious ones. Kwak In-ho considered making slight script adjustments, musing that a character named Oh Daebak had initially been a mere bit part. The SBC broadcasting station stood grandly under a bright blue sky, announcing the imminent commencement of the script reading. A female presenter professionally guided attendees, reminding them to check notices and follow staff instructions to the reading room. One by one, an array of stars and industry figures converged, filling the bright corridors with a quiet anticipation. Trailing them were the ever-present entertainment reporters and countless talent agency staff, adding to the bustling energy. Since Grey City was a crime noir, the gathering possessed a distinct, shadowy edge. The scene felt less like a standard industry event and more akin to a clandestine meeting in a crime syndicate's hideout. Two men gossiped, commenting on the thuggish appearance of the attendees, finding a twisted camaraderie in their observations. They speculated on the intense atmosphere the set would exude once actors were in costume, their bodies adorned with ink. One man lamented the absence of Kim Gwang-woo, who was currently occupied filming a movie. The conversation shifted to Kim Hwan, an idol from YKB, as one man questioned his absence from the proceedings. With a sly grin, the man revealed the damning rumor: Kim Hwan was supposedly done, having pissed himself at an audition. The other man reacted with shocked disbelief, utterly stunned by the audacious gossip. The narration intervened, clarifying that the rumor wasn't entirely true, though Kim Hwan had indeed been utterly crushed by Lee Tae-gyu in an improv showdown. The wild claims of him wetting his pants were wholly unfounded. Nor did he run off sobbing. Such rumors spread because people love to talk, even with staff under strict orders for silence, twisting the story as they tried to forcibly suppress it. These distorted tales, eagerly consumed by hungry reporters, threatened to erupt into an uncontrollable epidemic of misinformation. Suddenly, the two gossiping men recoiled in surprise as someone abruptly pushed through the crowd. Han Joo-hyuk, the lead, entered and with his commanding presence, instantly reset the entire room's chaotic energy. Reporter Cho and manager Kim fawned over Han Joo-hyuk, showering him with effusive compliments and questions about the script reading. Han Joo-hyuk, unimpressed, dismissed their flattery, remarking on their unchanging habit of speaking without thinking. Reporter Cho and manager Kim exchanged wide-eyed, confused glances, utterly taken aback by his unexpected criticism. Han Joo-hyuk sarcastically offered to reveal scandalous past details, challenging them to consider the type of gossip they so readily consumed. The unnamed man's face contorted in sheer panic, stammering a question about how Han Joo-hyuk could possibly know. Han Joo-hyuk's piercing gaze held theirs as he coolly revealed his lip-reading ability, acquired for a past role. He declared that he had seen them from afar, bad-mouthing someone, his words striking terror into their hearts. Han Joo-hyuk admonished them for their selective memory, remembering every bit of trash gossip but none of the roles that made him famous. With a calm yet firm tone, Han Joo-hyuk instructed them to stick to talking about actual truths, at least for today. The two men, thoroughly chastened, offered stammering apologies in response to his quiet authority. Han Joo-hyuk then pivoted, asking reporter Cho for another favor, his gaze and finger pointing towards someone in the distance. That someone was Kwak In-ho, the punk writer Han Joo-hyuk supposedly forced into the project, walking confidently through the busy hall with Yoon-seop. The men confirmed the target, mistakenly identifying Yoon-seop as Lee Tae-gyu, the writer. Han Joo-hyuk's expression became subtly dangerous as he mused that it worked out perfectly for them, for he loathed gossip, but despised more those who forgot the people they trampled on their easy ride to the top. 9 hours earlier, the digital clock signaled an unseen past. The somber quiet of his room deepened his profound dejection. His thoughts twisted into a tense, frustrated muttering, haunted by Lee Tae-gyu's uncanny performance. Disbelief mingled with admiration as two voices marveled at an idol's unexpectedly profound skill. With an air of supreme confidence, a man with slick back hair delivered his smug, approving assessment. His knowing smirk deepened, a silent kook escaping as he uncovered a deceptive truth. A raw, visceral squeeze echoed his intense, internal frustration. Huddled in despair, he silently questioned his own crushing inability to achieve such raw talent. A despair-filled cry tore from him, haunted by the profound enigma of Lee Tae-gyu's performance. Oh Dae-ho offered a greeting, his broad smile carrying an unsettling undertone. Jang Suk-tae's jovial inquiry filled the air with warmth. Ma Gi-bm delivered a confident, appreciative compliment about a recent commercial. Namgung Yong-soo offered a composed, recognizing greeting to an old acquaintance. As the actors gathered, their conversation quickly turned to the subtle distinctions of their past roles. Choi Song-cheol, the director of photography, stood stiff with nerves, acknowledging a misjudgment in tone. Internally, a furious Choi Song-cheol railed against the absurd distinctions of criminal archetypes. His late arrival just yesterday was highly irregular, as the director of photography should shape a project from its very inception. But a sudden, urgent personal issue forced the original DP to withdraw, leaving a staff member profusely apologetic. Under immense pressure, the drama head summoned Choi Song-cheol, who seethed with internal annoyance over a prior, binding favor. Despite the circumstances, the opportunity proved unexpectedly beneficial for Choi Song-cheol. Choi Song-cheol's awe erupted into an excited declaration of presence. Han Ju-hyuk entered, radiating a composed, unyielding presence. A star without peer, he possessed the rare ability to ignite profound emotions with a single, piercing gaze. The chance to work with Han Ju-hyuk was immense, as Choi Song-cheol internally assigned his visual perfection an unprecedented score. For context, other formidable actors consistently hovered around half that numerical aesthetic standard. Choi Song-cheol, amazed, realized Han Ju-hyuk wasn't just handsome, his mere presence created a living mise-en scene, justifying everything. But a new observation drew his focus, intensifying the room's air. Choi Song-cheol's curiosity piqued, wondering who held Han Ju-hyuk's repeated attention. PDG Cheol-gun introduced himself with a nervous smile, signaling the start of the proceedings. Kwak In-ho, the writer, then introduced himself, his expectant gaze seeking feedback on the script. An unseen speaker outlined the script reading, a meticulous process of introductions and acting-driven conversation for the first 2 episodes. It was a delicate balance, familiarizing with colleagues while simultaneously revealing one's deep interpretation of a character. Gradually, individual interpretations coalesced, forging a shared vision that would define the show's very world. Yet, a grim reality loomed: some would face replacement, their interpretations failing to align with this fragile, emerging world. Han Ju-hyuk, the formidable lead, dictated that world absolutely. His professional world, unforgiving and absolute, could never tolerate a Nepo baby. A dazzling, wild astonishment overwhelmed the young man. He found himself mesmerized, utterly incapable of looking away from such breathtaking, instantaneous emotional shifts. A profound sense of humility washed over him, recognizing the chasm between their talent and his own. Han Ju-hyuk's voice cut through the air, his intense gaze demanding commitment from an unseen chief. Suddenly, a thought clicked: these were the lead's lines, meaning that powerful voice belonged to Han Ju-hyuk. Before entering, an unseen voice offered essential preliminary information. Kwak In-ho lucidly categorized script-reading actors, those who fully revealed their analysis, and those who shrewdly reserved their true performance. Kwak In-ho instructed careful observation of Han Ju-hyuk, whose full commitment would establish the show's tone, though his explanation remained incomplete. Kwak was correct about Han's unfiltered performance, yet Han Ju-hyuk always transcended mere analysis, elevating his craft further. His secret lay in ad-libbing, a move typically seen as sheer madness, unless one's grasp of the character proved profound enough. Then, Minor flaws vanished, leaving only an irresistible, overwhelming gravitational pull. Han Ju-hyuk was the undisputed master of this potent art. Kwak In-ho noted Han's audacious line changes, even potential annoyance dwindled into insignificance. Kwak In-ho reflected on Han Ju-hyuk's inescapable gravitational pull, all others, regardless of role, became mere background when he truly unleashed his ad-libs. Kwak In-ho's pensive thoughts then turned to Lee Tae-gyu, silently posing a challenge. His silent challenge echoed, "Prove your mettle here, and national success would surely follow." Kwak In-ho then announced Scene 33, detailing the conflict between Kang Hyuk and Oh Dae-bak over a coveted money bag. Scene 33 of Grey City began, two actors poised before a cash-filled briefcase. One, an office worker entangled in criminal riches, the other, a gambling-mad wreck of a man, poised in stark contrast. Though the script called for a squabble, Oh Dae-bak began to mutter, diverging from the expected lines. Kang Hyuk's scornful eyes narrowed, a menacing threat finally spat from his lips. A malevolent grin, Hee-juk, split his face, as Lee Tae-gyu prepared to act. But Lee Tae-gyu's Oh Dae-bak was a creature of pure, deranged defiance, erupting with an unsettling, "Don't wanna." A provocative challenge, playfully yet tauntingly flung into the silence. Ji Cheol-gun's worry tightened, but the man with spiky brown hair only gestured for patience, the air thick with unspoken tension. Han Ju-hyuk bristled, his inner monologue searing at the perceived audacity of a newcomer daring to ad-lib against him. His fury erupted, challenging the unknown provocateur to press further, warning against his own explosive wrath. Lee Tae-gyu met the anger with a sly, knowing smirk, hinting at hidden depths and a secret advantage. With daring confidence, Lee Tae-gyu declared his intent for double repayment, casually revealing insider information about rigged roulette odds. He spun his web of words, suggesting a shared destiny through the illicit cash, prompting Han Ju-hyuk to truly awaken to the game. Han Ju-hyuk gasped, the implications of Lee Tae-gyu's words striking him with unexpected force. Miles away, a young man lay slumped, the soft light unable to stir him from his profound lethargy. A gentle voice cut through the quiet, an old man's query breaking the young man's slumber. The young man stirred, his response still clouded by the lingering fog of sleep. In the calm, traditional room, the old man warmly welcomed the young man's adjustment, fostering a respectful rapport. He then revealed astonishing news of a gambling machine's imminent, record-breaking odds, hinting at a transformative opportunity. The young man offered a tepid acknowledgement, a quiet rub of his nose underscoring his subtle disinterest. The old man's face lit up with fervent excitement, painting a vivid picture of escaping their current lives forever. A clipped, unenthusiastic agreement was all the young man offered, his true feelings carefully veiled. The old man's gaze sharpened, his suspicion piqued by the young man's hollow enthusiasm. A wide, exaggerated yawn, a comedic flourish, offered his flimsy excuse for such an uninspired response. The old man's gaze fell, his mind processing the young man's odd behavior with quiet contemplation. With gentle understanding, the old man apologized for the disturbance, offering solace and more rest. The young man's confusion was evident, insisting he had been listening, demanding to know what was truly amiss. The old man then subtly educated him on the typical, fervent reactions to such profitable news, highlighting the young man's anomaly. His words grew visceral, detailing how intense stimulation could shatter a mind, reducing it to a singular, consuming obsession. A somber memory flickered, the painful departure of his wife and child, a wound from a life swallowed by obsession. Another dark fragment, his father's tragic death, yet even then, only the cards in his hand held any focus. The old man concluded his dark history, his pronouncement heavy with hard-won certainty. The young man's eyes widened in stunned surprise as the old man's cutting question laid bare his true intentions. The old man's warning was stern and clear, leave now, before their growing resentment erupted. With a heavy sigh of resignation, the old man turned, his final words echoing his weariness as he walked away. Meanwhile, Han Ju-hyuk observed, the narration revealing his own past mastery in portraying a gambling addict, stirring old instincts. His meticulous dedication forged his legend, a standard of perfection defining the actor now revered as Han Ju-hyuk. And now, in this charged moment, those potent memories flooded back, overwhelming his composure. He recalled the clumsiness, the desperate reach of his past self, forever out of sync with true experience. His own interpretation of a gambling addict felt hollow now, a mere shadow to the departing truth. Han Ju-hyuk grimaced, recognizing the unsettling, broken aura emanating from Lee Tae-gyu, a stark echo of his own carefully crafted characters. Lee Tae-gyu's casual musings on yachts were not mere talk, but an unsettling performance, like encountering a beast masquerading as a man. Han Ju-hyuk's mind raced, struggling to grasp the raw emotion that birthed such a compelling, terrifying character. A wave of collective awe swept through the observers, their shocked whispers questioning Lee Tae-gyu's identity and audacity to challenge Han Ju-hyuk. Han Ju-hyuk's world tilted, his previous judgment shattered as he absorbed the shocking truth of his own miscalculation. In a flash of internal terror, Han Ju-hyuk realized Lee Tae-gyu was not just an equal, but a menacing presence operating on a terrifyingly higher plane. It was a bizarre phenomenon, a minor actor, barely a supporting role, seizing the spotlight from the lead with effortless command. Lost in a daze, DP Choi Song-cheol spontaneously scored the unknown actor a staggering 9.1, unable to contain his astonished praise. Ji Cheol-gun's jaw dropped, marveling at Lee Tae-gyu's unexpected polish, questioning if such mastery could truly belong to a rookie. The man with spiky brown hair playfully boasted of his scouting prowess, while Ji Cheol-gun's impressed query only underscored his triumph. He dramatically spun a tale of discovering Lee Tae-gyu in the wilderness, met by Ji Cheol-gun's wry, mock sympathetic agreement. Ji Cheol-gun conceded the theatrics, his internal monologue revealing a calculated hope for a fresh start contingent on Lee Tae-gyu's success. The man with spiky brown hair beamed, radiating infectious excitement for what was unfolding. Ji Cheol-gun sought direction, prompted by his colleague to consider their next strategic move. Lee Tae-gyu confidently declared their current performance a mere prelude, promising a far grander spectacle with full production. Ji Cheol-gun, ever the perfectionist, asserted that even more was needed, pointing to the crucial element of editing. With unwavering conviction, Ji Cheol-gun guaranteed an outcome that would far surpass anyone's wildest imagination. The man with spiky brown hair mused contentedly, observing the harmonious synergy between successful work and flourishing relationships. A disembodied voice cut through the air, signaling the end of scene 33 and the start of a 5-minute break. A decisive step echoed, indicating a new approach in the quiet space. Han Ju-hyuk formally requested a moment of Lee Tae-gyu's time, his polite but firm tone catching the younger actor by surprise. Han Ju-hyuk cut directly to the chase, his intense gaze demanding to know the true nature of Lee Tae-gyu's portrayal. Lee Tae-gyu gave the obvious answer, while his chibi inner self fretted about his own performance, making Han Ju-hyuk quickly clarify his true intent. Han Ju-hyuk elaborated, seeking the raw, emotional core that drove Lee Tae-gyu's startling interpretation. Lee Tae-gyu, thoughtful and serious, admitted he could not explain the technique, but unveiled a profound emotional truth: gamblers, too, were actors. Han Ju-hyuk reacted with visceral indignation to the provocative claim, met by Lee Tae-gyu's calm, unwavering affirmation. Lee Tae-gyu then articulated his chilling philosophy: those with broken minds expertly performed normalcy in their daily lives, acting as people. A weak player might never grasp the chasm separating them from a master, but a master could measure it precisely, a stark realization dawning on Han Ju-hyuk as Lee Tae-gyu made his exit. 2 moves above me, Han Ju-hyuk's rough estimation, now shattered into pieces by the stunning revelation that the answer was simply a madman acting sane. The off-panel speaker congratulated everyone on their hard work, directing the bustling crowd towards dinner. Concerned, a man with short dark hair wondered aloud if Han Ju-hyuk was skipping dinner, while a man with spiky light brown hair offered a shrug. In the stark restroom, Han Ju-hyuk found himself lost in a sterile silence. A single, crushing thought echoed, pathetic. The venomous belief about Lee Tae-gyu being a parachute hire now scorched his conscience, making him question his own judgment. A guttural cry of frustration ended with a dull, echoing thud against the unforgiving wall. Shame burned through him, a searing anxiety over Lee Tae-gyu's potential judgment. His own internal monologue turned against him, dissecting every move, every intention, and every unexpected reaction from Lee Tae-gyu during their confrontation. A sudden voice shattered his turmoil, demanding to know his purpose. The man in red jacket approached, warning Han Ju-hyuk that his loud frustrations would only feed the hungry reporters. A quiet yearning settled over him. He had always wanted to be perceived as effortlessly cool. His deeper desire was to be a supportive figure, capable of celebrating others' success, not just his own. Today, however, that image had shattered, consumed by the gnawing, insecure fear of not being the main character. With sudden, eager urgency, the man in red jacket proposed recruiting Lee Tae-gyu for their company, catching Han Ju-hyuk off guard. With a slightly annoyed but firm tone, he urged Han Ju-hyuk to join the dinner. He resigned himself to going, a weary agreement fueled by the fear of further gossip. The man in red jacket nodded, satisfied with Han Ju-hyuk's reluctant decision. The vibrant glow of the Makogi Jip sign welcomed them to the dinner venue. The promise of a sizzling meal hung in the warm, savory air. Lee Tae-gyu hummed with utter contentment, savoring the delicious meal. The manager with spiky brown hair casually inquired about the business cards, to which Lee Tae-gyu estimated 7. His manager pressed for more details, a focused curiosity in his eyes. The manager sighed, suggesting Dale Entertainment was merely playing coy, despite Lee Tae-gyu's casual observation. Lee Tae-gyu's innocent question probed the true power of Dale Entertainment. The manager declared Dale's industry dominance, then affectionately teased Lee Tae-gyu for his worldly ignorance, implying a need for guidance. Lee Tae-gyu then inquired about YKB, prompting a stern warning from the manager about their dangerously intense work culture. As the manager probed Lee Tae-gyu's interest in YKB, a cunning thought sparked within him: should he subtly hint at an existing connection? The manager beamed with absolute certainty, promising that by the drama's end, no one would dare question Lee Tae-gyu's talent. Lee Tae-gyu's confusion was met with a playful challenge: listen to the conversations unfolding around them. An angry actor with reddish-brown hair raged, fiercely criticizing another's portrayal of a violent crimes detective. Nearby, an angry actor with a buzz cut passionately declared his exhaustion with typecasting, demanding more depth. The air crackled with tension as an actor with dark slicked back hair confronted another, while Lee Tae-gyu observed the rising confrontation. The cacophony of critical voices washed over Lee Tae-gyu, leaving him slightly overwhelmed. His manager grinned, knowing full well the passionate fervor gripping the room, a stark contrast to their earlier reading. The manager recalled the earlier, disheartening conversations, filled with shallow ambitions and dismissive comments about their own show. His discerning eye had clearly seen the absence of true passion. Lee Tae-gyu speculated his performance had ignited a competitive fire, confirmed by the manager who mused on its varied, potent motivations. The manager swelled with pride, convinced that Lee Tae-gyu could lead Grey City to triumph over its star-studded rival. Lee Tae-gyu acknowledged the formidable competition, then humbly promised his absolute best, regardless of his role's size. His manager's concern was palpable, noticing Lee Tae-gyu's unusually sparse eating, despite his feigned nonchalance. Lee Tae-gyu subtly shifted focus, asking an off-panel writer or PD their preference for pork belly. His manager, perplexed, questioned the odd choice, assuming a preference for more expensive cuts of meat. The manager teasingly accused Lee Tae-gyu of having extravagant tastes, a playful jab at his perceived sophistication. Then, with an energetic snap, the manager remembered Lee Tae-gyu's true culinary affection, L.A. galbi. A fond memory of towering L.A. galbi was abruptly shattered by a jarring clang. The manager's premonition came true as D.P. Choi Song-cheol stumbled into the aisle, bottle in hand, calling out weakly. D.P. Choi Song-cheol launched into a drunken, agitated tirade, furiously denouncing pork belly in the name of mise-en-scene. The manager watched in alarm as the DP's drunken state escalated, while Lee Tae-gyu remained strangely unruffled. DP Choi Song-cheol, loudly proclaiming his identity and frustrations, clumsily collapsed onto the annoyed manager, declaring his need to hustle for information. Meanwhile, a cacophony of ha-ha-has and slurred cheers rose from another table, a loop of boisterous, drunken repetition. The manager's attempts to calm the belligerent DP Choi Song-cheol were met with a defiant, drunken proclamation about his social standards. The manager's mounting frustration with DP Choi Song-cheol's antics was met with Lee Tae-gyu's serene, simple advice to let it go. Despite his inebriation, a peculiar suspicion sparked within DP Choi Song-cheol, claiming his extensive connections should know everyone. Yet, for Lee Tae-gyu, his vast memory held absolutely nothing. The DP dramatically declared Lee Tae-gyu had simply materialized, then awarded him an arbitrary 9.1 points. Lee Tae-gyu's brow furrowed in utter bewilderment at the inexplicable score. A sudden, dizzying flash of drunken insight struck DP Choi Song-cheol, connecting Lee Tae-gyu's palate to years of study abroad. DP Choi Song-cheol pointed a dramatic finger, connecting LA to Los Angeles and its Korean community, culminating in a fantastical declaration of Hollywood, leaving Lee Tae-gyu utterly bewildered. A grand vision of the iconic Hollywood sign shimmered, a distant, shimmering promise of ambition and dreams. In a warm, forgotten memory, the young woman with blonde hair cheerfully hailed someone, her smile bright and open. DP Choi Song-cheol, in his own rose-tinted recollection, mirrored her greeting with an easy, confident grin of his own. She praised his shooting, feeling its mysterious beauty, as he swelled with pride, declaring it Eastern aesthetics. With sunny optimism, he vowed to show the real us, not Western Orientalism, a promise she met with sparkling excitement. Her hopeful face beamed, eager to join his world, asking to be woven into his ambitious mise-en-scene. He offered an encouraging smile, sealing their pact with the grand ambition that they would both make it big and reunite in Hollywood. With a poignant, romantic grasp of hands, she promised to wait, her words cementing a shared dream that now hung in the air. Back in the harsh light of reality, Lee Tae-gyu, wide-eyed and sweating, barely managed to stammer out the word Hollywood, completely bewildered. A man with a gray beanie leaned forward aggressively, his sharp words like a kwang as he denounced Tae-gyu's lack of American training, linking it to his stagnating career. As the man with the gray beanie pressed about his schooling, an uncomfortable Lee Tae-gyu fumbled for words, while the narration revealed DP Choi Song-cheol's past abroad. His grand dream of breaking into overseas cinema was ultimately crushed by a certain actress, now a global star, whose glamour merely highlighted his own fading ambition. Even so, DP Choi Song-cheol returned to Korea after graduation, his youthful heart still alight with determined hope. Yet, despite that initial ambition, he could only carve out his place as the humble errand boy of the industry, a melancholic twist of fate. Slowly, relentlessly, those hopeful, vibrant memories of his past had quietly faded into the background. But now, a 9.1-carat blank canvas, discovered in Korea, Lee Tae-gyu, stirred within Choi Song-cheol a contemplative belief that a profound story lay beneath. The excited man with the gray beanie, declaring his own stories, became the very ha-ha trigger that pulled those long dormant memories back to the surface. As the man with the gray beanie drunkenly resisted, letting out a ha-ha, two men good-naturedly tried to escort the director home. The director, flailing and shouting Hollywood repeatedly, was carried away, leaving a geol flustered Lee Tae-gyu in his wake. While the director's cries of Hollywood echoed off-panel, another man offered Lee Tae-gyu another drink, which he quietly accepted. Oh Dae-ho's wide smile greeted someone off-panel, a jovial facade for the group of men gathering with mischievous intent. A surprised Lee Tae-gyu asked Oh Dae-ho why they were all together, and Oh Dae-ho explained they wished to drink with him, the rookie. With a composed yet slightly uncomfortable expression, Lee Tae-gyu clarified his name and accepted their invitation. Oh Dae-ho, his smile unwavering, heartily encouraged everyone to pour their drinks, cementing the convivial atmosphere. As the man with slick-back brown hair suggested, tables were cooperatively pulled together, making room for everyone. Cheers! Rang out as 6 men, including Lee Tae-gyu and Oh Dae-ho, raised their cups in a lively toast. The Hanwha quartet had a singular goal, which the man with slick-back brown hair revealed with a sly question: how'd you do it? The man with spiky brown hair admired Tae-gyu's insane ad-lib, his words confirming their collective mission to learn his acting secret. The rookie who had instantly flipped the set's mood now captivated every eye in the room, as the man with slick-back brown hair probed about his Hollywood training, only for Lee Tae-gyu to give a non-committal answer. Soju poured steadily into a glass, symbolizing the endless social opportunities missed by those who couldn't secure a seat at Lee Tae-gyu's table. Han Ju-hyuk, clutching his cup with simmering frustration, let out a ha-ha of annoyance as his intense focus remained fixed on Tae-gyu's night. Deep in thought, Han Ju-hyuk revealed his fervent desire to understand Lee Tae-gyu's every acting secret, from emotional handling to real-life separation. Han Ju-hyuk, his face reddening with a hyuk of frustration, confronted Lee Tae-gyu for not being invited, while internally admitting he had wanted to fight him earlier. Han Ju-hyuk, with a determined suk and a soft yuk of resolve, declared he might still get a chance, dismissing concern about needing a chaperone on his bathroom break. A heavyweight lead actor, Han Ju-hyuk strode with focused intent through the restaurant, a plan already formulating in his mind. He paused to eavesdrop on his way by, commenting on Tae-gyu's too real, gambling addict acting, probing if he'd visited a casino. Lee Tae-gyu's casual confirmation of visiting Kong Land brought Han Ju-hyuk to a surprised meowchit halt. The man with slick-back brown hair playfully suggested Tae-gyu had gambled himself, but Lee Tae-gyu clarified he had merely observed those living off baccarat for days. Han Ju-hyuk, utterly shocked and impressed, felt a sudden, sharp sense of kinship with Lee Tae-gyu, a fellow maniac who dove into a role without reserve. Before his fame, a younger Han Ju-hyuk, speaking with an older mentor, had to act cautiously, but now he felt honestly jealous of Lee Tae-gyu's liberating freedom to cross every line. Nonsense. Han Ju-hyuk thought, veins throbbing, dismissing anyone else, stealing away Lee Tae-gyu, yet secretly admiring that brazen confidence. He knew such acting wasn't given freely, that countless efforts and dozens of pairs of shoes were needed just to glimpse the path, as Lee Tae-gyu animatedly explained his craft. Han Ju-hyuk, a somber expression clouding his features, speculated on the grueling work and lack of normal dating that must have forged such skill at Lee Tae-gyu's age. A melancholic pity for Tae-gyu's potential lack of a real relationship bloomed in Han Ju-hyuk's heart, just before the undeniable truth struck him. Then, Lee Tae-gyu, radiating pure joy amidst sparkling light, declared his simple truth: acting was fun for him. Han Ju-hyuk's face contorted in an awful wave of shame and humiliation at the stark contrast. When wealth was wielded to procure power, its influence flowed with a precise pyong. Yet, when power was merely used to acquire more power, it rang sayuk and yuk hollow. Once that power was irrevocably lost, the very essence of how to live vanished with it. Han Ju-hyuk felt it acutely, his chest yukian with distress, realizing his lukewarm passion, fueled by pride in others' eyes, had stolen his true acting heart, leaving him alienated from himself. He stood grounded, his polished shoes a stark contrast to his internal turmoil, finally forced to face that brutal truth. He couldn't help but be drawn to the younger actor, who, through his genuine passion, mirrored Han Ju-hyuk's own past self. Lee Tae-gyu reacted with innocent surprise, utterly unaware of Han Ju-hyuk's profound draw to his honest heart and pure, childlike admiration. There was no choice. As Han Ju-hyuk stood tall, an unidentified man playfully asked if he was Tae-gyu's acting practice partner, but Lee Tae-gyu quickly clarified, our leading man. Han Ju-hyuk, dismissing the praise for his ad-lib and his leading man title with a soft ha-ha sigh, struggled internally with the sheer weight of public attention. He decided to crack a joke before directly addressing Lee Tae-gyu, declaring he had something important to say. Startled, Lee Tae-gyu instantly offered a worried, I'm sorry. Han Ju-hyuk, with a solemn look, apologized for not considering Tae-gyu's feelings, leaving Tae-gyu utterly surprised. Han Ju-hyuk admitted he had gone overboard with his ad-lib, questioning if Tae-gyu had been getting into character, to which Lee Tae-gyu confessed he had been trying to match Han Ju-hyuk's energy. Han Ju-hyuk declared he would be counting on him, sending a bewildered Lee Tae-gyu into a spiral of HUH- and guilt-ridden silence. The intense effort of even a 10 million ticket actor like Han Ju-hyuk to lock into character made Lee Tae-gyu introspectively question whether his own seemingly easy path to acting was truly valid. As he held the mystical Will-O-Wisps, now grown from 2 to 3 after the script reading, Lee Tae-gyu knew his thoughts had deepened and intensified. The digital lock word open, granting access to a late return. His weary body protested with a faint crackle, as Lee Tae-gyu finally stumbled home, unsure of the hour. 10 p.m., and a splash of cold water barely managed to pull Lee Tae-gyu back from the brink of total exhaustion. As his mind cleared, Lee Tae-gyu pondered the last month. His emotion-copying power had grown, symbolized by 3 Will-O-Wisps, but his inner world had expanded even further. He had forged genuine bonds with industry veterans, cultivating a profound respect for those who truly navigated its brutal landscape. The lone wanderer had transformed into a magnetic presence, now effortlessly drawing the admiration of all around him. He had lost all sense of time, discovering a joy in life he never imagined, finally feeling truly immersed in the vibrant current of living. Yet, his deepest devotion remained fixed on acting, particularly the electrifying moments on set with the camera's unblinking eye trained solely upon him. From private auditions to table reads, every moment he commanded the lens marked a profound personal journey. An electric buzz heralded a strange, overwhelming clarity. With each passing moment, an undeniable truth solidified, his power had irrevocably shifted. Recalling the old man's ridiculous grimace, he forced a grotesque grin, remembering the lesson. True laughter followed a conscious decision to smile. A gentle smile formed, and he wondered if genuine happiness blossomed from such forced beginnings. Lost in thoughts of extraordinary abilities, a sudden, shimmering green energy crackled from his outstretched hands, startling him. His bewilderment grew as the enigmatic energy vanished as quickly as it had appeared. His frustration mounted, his eyes clenching as he raged at its absence, realizing the vanished Will-O-Wisp had been his own, a terrifying, personal glimpse. A furious whoosh of energy erupted around him as he screamed for its return, the fleeting taste of power snatched away, driving him to frantic desperation. Sleep was impossible, his mind raced with obsession, urging himself to regain control, for the night ahead remained long and daunting. Meanwhile, in a warm-lit bar, PDG Cheol-gun and Nam Yoon-ju lingered, sharing the quiet weariness of a night far from over. PDG Cheol-gun's weary gaze carried the weight of unspoken burdens. Nam Yoon-ju's sly smile highlighted his utterly annoyed expression. With a weary sigh, he voiced his exasperation, wondering how many rounds they'd endure after being abruptly pulled from dinner. Nam Yoon-ju acknowledged his plight, the dreaded cheering up lecture, but his plea to leave remained firmly rejected. Nam Yoon-ju asserted her playful authority, reminding Ji Cheol-gun that she had signed off on Gray City, forcing his resigned, though mumbled, compliance. This was Nam Yoon-ju, the elegant, sophisticated head of the SBC Drama Bureau, now the general manager overseeing Gray City. PDG, however, showed no deference. This project was his final act at SBC, a quiet decision hardening his resolve. The enticing recruitment offer from YKB had, in truth, profoundly reshaped his entire demeanor and outlook. Nam Yoon-ju playfully poked at his apparent calm, wondering at his lack of nerves despite the impending shoot, admitting she still missed the set. Pushing 40, he confessed his sole motivation was the paycheck, his weariness underscored by the brutal, honest truth, only money mattered now. After successive failures, shredded pride, and a stagnant career, everything he once believed about being a PD had shattered, leaving only a bitter thirst for money as he dramatically gulped his drink. His face contorted in regret, he finally understood that only cash truly mattered, a realization that had come too late, explaining why everything now felt like an endless slog. What truly bored him to his cynical core was watching Nam Yoon-ju, a mid-40s executive nursing expensive drinks while meticulously measuring every word, seeing in her predicament a chilling reflection of his own inevitable future. He directly challenged her, questioning why she never left, given her formidable skills could have commanded a higher salary across the burgeoning landscape of networks and streamers. With a soft smile, Nam Yoon-ju explained her understated comfort, admitting no noble loyalty, but simply finding a perfect fit within its walls. Nam Yoon-ju playfully teased a blushing chibi Ji Cheol-gun, noting how far he had come from his rookie days when he couldn't even meet her gaze. Hwang In-guk's calm voice apologized for his late arrival. Ji Cheol-gun's shocked gasp at the content division head's arrival prompted Nam Yoon-ju to playfully scold him for intentionally leaving her visit as a surprise. While Hwang In-guk dismissed scolding, Ji Cheol-gun wrestled with bewildered anxiety at such a high-ranking presence, unaware Nam Yoon-ju was casually exposing his distracted state. Hwang In-guk acknowledged Ji Cheol-gun's overwhelming situation, which prompted Nam Yoon-ju to subtly demand his help, lamenting the solitary burden of leading the drama bureau. Hwang In-guk, pleased, praised Nam Yoon-ju's choice of DP Choi Song-cheol, eliciting an enthusiastic agreement from Ji Cheol-gun. Yet, his shrewd eyes held a challenging skepticism, questioning if mere visuals could truly conquer Italian romance in a different industry. Ji Cheol-gun's jaw dropped in utter bewilderment, struggling to comprehend Hwang In-guk's cryptic pronouncement about Italian romance. Hwang In-guk firmly declared Ji Cheol-gun the captain of this ship, urging a change in mindset with a knowing smile. His voice laced with offense, Ji Cheol-gun demanded if their meeting stemmed from a lack of trust. Hwang In-guk, smiling confidently, revealed his admiration for writer Kwak In-ho, a man whose sheer guts inspired others to run alongside him, regardless of outcome. Ji Cheol-gun acknowledged Hwang In-guk, who then fondly recounted the script reading, praising the cast's energetic ad-libs. He appreciated the reading's unique vibe, a stark contrast to his own era when writers might have ripped scripts, then struggled to recall the bold rookie who stood out. Ji Cheol-gun supplied Lee Tae-gyu's name, confirming Hwang In-guk's disbelief and grudging admiration for the rookie's audacious talent. Ji Cheol-gun quietly affirmed the rookie's undeniable, special quality. Nam Yoon-ju reminded Hwang In-guk that he, too, had been special. Before, a younger Nam Yoon-ju recalled Hwang In-guk's fiery passion, how he foamed at the mouth, railing against product placement before investors, a memory that still made her face burn. Ji Cheol-gun, blushing faintly, admitted his directorial debut had been a complete failure. Hwang In-guk and Nam Yoon-ju, in playful chibi forms, fondly reassured a blushing Ji Cheol-gun that they both loved his initial, disastrous drama. He espoused his philosophy: creators poured their hearts into forging unique paths, learned from crushing ratings, and that fierce, different spirit defined their drama department. But then, with a grave expression, he revealed the impending truth: whispers of the drama bureau's closure by next year. Ji Cheol-gun's shock was met with Hwang In-guk's grim explanation: investors, smelling a slump, planned to ruthlessly shut them down, outsourcing productions for safe, mainstream filler. His eyes burned with desperate hope as he declared Gray City their last chance, naming Ji Cheol-gun the stubborn lifeline for their endangered department. Ji Cheol-gun questioned the chance, as Hwang In-guk casually tapped his phone, revealing a massive budget freed from a canned variety show due to DUIs. With a determined, almost maniacal grin, Hwang In-guk declared he was funneling 40 billion won into Gray City. This time, they would undeniably go for the win. Utter disbelief contorted Ji Cheol-gun's face at the mention of 40 billion won. Ji Cheol-gun's jaw went slack. 400 billion felt like a number plucked from madness, not a budget. Hwang In-guk, however, embraced his own insanity, challenging Ji Cheol-gun to reclaim the wild spirit he once knew. Ji Cheol-gun exploded with sarcastic visions of cinematic excess, questioning the sanity of such an immense investment in a niche genre. A sly smile played on Hwang In-guk's lips as he savored the word trending. He then posed a profound question: challenging Ji Cheol-gun's very understanding of drama. He recalled a younger Ji Cheol-gun, once questioning their deviation from trends, who now asserted that commercial art existed only to sell. Hwang In-guk defined drama as merely a filmed play, then questioned the primal origins of theatrical art itself. Ji Cheol-gun visibly wrestled with the weight of that simple, yet profound, inquiry. Hwang In-guk declared plays were born to offer solace to those who watched. He explained that drama, whether comedic or tragic, mirrored flawed people's desperate lives, eliciting shared joy or sorrow. This mirroring, he asserted, was precisely why audiences found themselves so deeply immersed. The realization clicked for Ji Cheol-gun, understanding why Hwang In-guk's debut felt so genuinely entertaining. Ji Cheol-gun questioned their lack of romance dramas, to which Hwang In-guk replied they only highlighted one's own pathetic existence. Ji Cheol-gun playfully called out Hwang In-guk's disdain for MBS, which he readily admitted, citing their endless romance productions. He urged Ji Cheol-gun to take another swing, emphasizing unwavering leadership in the face of daunting odds. Ji Cheol-gun's mind reeled at the sheer scale of the 40 billion won gamble already underway. Ji Cheol-gun, with a knowing smirk, admitted past failures stemmed from chasing fleeting trends, prompting Hwang In-guk to tease his posturing. Hwang In-guk met his declaration with a keen, approving glint in his eye. He heartily approved, noting Ji Cheol-gun's rekindled spark reminded him of their very first interview. Ji Cheol-gun responded with an enthusiastic, determined affirmation. In Italy, a magnificent five-star hotel gleamed under a bright, clear sky, marking a new setting. Ju Min-hee struck a confident pose, her eyes brimming with eager expectation. Ji Kyung-ho scathingly dismissed the garment as a flimsy rag, questioning if she was filming a sci-fi, thus introducing himself as the lead of Italian Romance. Ji Kyung-ho worried she'd chosen a similar outfit for Teacher, but Ju Min-hee, the lead of Italian Romance, smugly confirmed it, receipts long gone. Ji Kyung-ho expressed concern for Teacher freezing, but Ju Min-hee dismissively brushed it off, questioning his grasp of dress codes. He grumbled about the lowly two-star restaurant, questioning the need for formality or their attendance at all. Ji Kyung-ho then sheepishly admitted his own culpability for the choice. Go Sun-hyung, the esteemed writer of Italian Romance, made an ironic quip about her supposed mistake in choosing the restaurant. Ji Kyung-ho panicked, trying to appease her, as Go Sun-hyung, with a smug smile, asked if he'd finished his critique. Go Sun-hyung, a composed woman of 40, known universally as the Queen of Rom-coms, replied with understated confidence. Her previous work, Mother-in-Law's Wedding, shone with an ethereal glow, having soared to an astonishing 41% rating. With a consistent trail of massive hits, she effortlessly vanquished rivals, a formidable force who dominated her time slots with sheer ratings power. For Go Sun-hyung, the lavish perks of five-star hotels and adoring young stars were not privileges, but merely the unremarkable standard of her everyday existence. Yoo A-ri's voice cut through, laced with shock, questioning the fate of someone sent away. Go Sun-hyung remained perfectly serene, a faint, unreadable smile playing on her lips. Outside, the rain poured down, swah, clinging to her with a melancholic insistence. Yoo A-ri fought desperately against the security guard, her frantic pleas for Teacher lost in the downpour. Kyoryu, chopuk, Yoo A-ri collapsed, crying out in raw anguish, accusing Teacher of betraying promises of script credit for Italian Romance. Go Sun-hyung, a chilling smirk playing on her lips, then posed a rhetorical question about the ultimate arbiter of a show's success. Yoo A-ri, soaked and distraught, offered a bewildered, uncertain response. Go Sun-hyung coldly explained her answer was the name, dismissing commercial art as mere variations within a genre, like playing the same song with different instruments. Yoo A-ri screamed in angry disbelief, questioning how audiences could ever embrace such stale, repetitive content. Go Sun-hyung, unperturbed, simply reiterated the paramount importance of the name. Go Sun-hyung, a silhouette against the downpour, coolly explained that people craved the known, the label, the Go Sun-hyung brand, even if the content was identical. Ri's face crumpled in crushing despair as Go Sun-hyung declared a drama with her name attached was inherently boring. With a cruel, dismissive wave, Go Sun-hyung bid her farewell, offering a patronizing warning about the cold rain. Ju Min-hee shivered, deeming Ri's desperate pursuit, stalker behavior, while Ji Kyung-ho scoffed at her continued demand for Italian romance credit. Ji Kyung-ho, frustrated, belittled Ri's contributions as negligible, fearing the appearance that teacher had stolen her entire project. Go Sun-hyung responded with a dry, utterly unfazed single word. Ju Min-hee burst in, dismissing the somber mood, and presented Go Sun-hyung with a matching dress, proposing a couple outfit. Go Sun-hyung feigned thoughtful hesitation, questioning if such a spirited outfit would truly suit her. Ji Kyung-ho enthusiastically insisted the dress would be perfect, eager to capture the moment on his phone. The two women smiled brightly for the camera, a cheerful chalkak. News screens flashed a positive headline, announcing writer Go Sun-hyung sharing a light-hearted moment with her leads on social media for Italian romance. A voice observed Go Sun-hyung's pervasive industry presence before crisply asking if all his requests had been fulfilled. Reporter Park delivered a string of damning news. A famous MC and an SBC PD both caught drunk driving, threatening to collapse SBC's flagship project, then asked for an opinion. From his seated position, Hwang In-guk gave a curt, decisive order, "It's good. Put it out." Reporter Park, astonished, questioned Hwang In-guk's foresight, learning that such intelligence required not just knowledge of habits, but also deep ties within local law enforcement. Hwang In-guk then initiated a chilling pop quiz, asking Reporter Park for the definitive difference between success and failure. Reporter Park offered tentative, confused guesses, fumbling for an answer. Hwang In-guk delivered his profound answer: only desperation could truly ignite one's efforts. He cited examples of raw desperation driving both rookies and veteran division heads, concluding that true opportunity sought out only the most desperate, which Reporter Park finally understood. With a sinister, glowing gaze, Hwang In-guk declared his right to seize opportunities from those who faltered, because his own desperate desire burned far, far brighter. The gleaming phantom arrived, embodying a bright, almost decadent promise of what was to come. Lee Tae-gyu could only stare, a silent question forming on his lips as confusion clouded his bright demeanor. The man with spiky brown hair effervescently proposed blowing it all up, oblivious to the discomfort that bloomed on Lee Tae-gyu's face. Lee Tae-gyu frantically disavowed any criminal intent, but his companion simply brushed off the absurdity like an annoying gnat. He then revealed the production's sudden, massive budget boost, explaining that PDG insisted a crime boss simply had to arrive in such style. Lee Tae-gyu questioned his role in this display, knowing Daebak had no such luxurious scenes, though a secret part of him yearned for just one ride. The man with spiky brown hair then launched into a detailed description of Scene 34, a high-octane chase culminating in a car bursting into the action. A single, choked word of disbelief escaped Lee Tae-gyu's lips. The sinister grin told Lee Tae-gyu all he needed to know: he was about to get hit, and this grinning menace would be behind the wheel. The drama set was a maelstrom of activity, a palpable wave of absolute chaos as crew members scurried through the bustling scene. Lee Tae-gyu, navigating the frantic energy, felt himself pulled in every direction, as swamped as anyone else. His manager and stylist attended to his every need, a constant flurry of preparation around him. Amidst the flurry, he exchanged pleasantries with the assembled cast, including the formidable Manhwa quartet, a wave of polite smiles passing through the group. A rookie on set, Lee Tae-gyu mused on the unexpected frenzy, longing for the moment he could finally just immerse himself in acting. An older man in traditional attire heartily greeted Lee Tae-gyu, declaring his anticipation for their rematch, a comment met with utter confusion. The older man, flabbergasted, wondered how Lee Tae-gyu could have possibly forgotten his imminent head-to-head scene with Han Ju-hyuk. A bead of sweat traced a path down Lee Tae-gyu's temple, a cold understanding finally settling in. With a flush of embarrassment, Lee Tae-gyu acknowledged the obvious: the O-Daebak scene was indeed today. The older man playfully chided Lee Tae-gyu for his forgetfulness, eliciting a round of laughter from the amused cast members as Lee Tae-gyu sheepishly offered a flimsy excuse. Haha. The older man noted the crew's unusual fervor for this shot, a dedication that subtly surprised Lee Tae-gyu. Han Ju-hyuk, the older man asserted with a mischievous grin, arrived ready to kill, his intensity a sharpened blade after their previous encounter. A profound sense of guilt settled over Lee Tae-gyu, weighing heavily on his contemplative mind. The older man's brow furrowed, a questioning sound escaping him. Lee Tae-gyu confided that acting was far more fun than he imagined, a burning desire to face the camera consuming him completely. He admitted feeling humbled by the immense attention from the seniors, Han Ju-hyuk, and the staff, especially given his own recent self-absorption. The profound joy of acting, he declared with earnest conviction, truly bloomed only when shared within a scene. The older man simply hummed in understanding as Lee Tae-gyu voiced his discomfort at receiving so much unearned attention. Tae-gyu, the older man beamed, a vibrant aura practically radiating from him. Can you feel the absolutely electric energy on this set right now? Lee Tae-gyu's gaze dropped, lost in the thoughtful quiet of introspection. The older man continued, marveling at the unprecedented surge of energy on set and hinting at its very specific origin. It all began, he explained with a wistful look, back at that pivotal script meeting, a black-and-white memory of intense concentration. Every actor, every staff member who watches you, the older man warmly elaborated, finds their heart pounding, reminded of why they fell in love with acting in the first place. With a supportive hand on his shoulder, the older man encouraged Lee Tae-gyu to relax and do his thing, quickly adding that he was already exceptional. With a wide grin and a radiating thumbs up, the older man passionately implored Lee Tae-gyu to keep sharing his talent, as everyone was eagerly waiting to witness it. Within the intense gaze of Lee Tae-gyu's eyes, an unyielding resolve hardened. Lee Tae-gyu bowed deeply, his enthusiastic "yes, sir" echoing the older man's approving thumbs up. With a confident step, Lee Tae-gyu led the way, the others following in his purposeful wake. A collective gasp of surprise rippled through the trio. The older man's surprise quickly morphed into a thoughtful, almost concerned, contemplation. A wide-mouthed, "huh," was all the bewildered older man could utter. Nam Yoon-ju, a new female character with vivid pink hair, turned to the startled men, playfully questioning their inattention. Her direct gaze held a hint of mystery as the older man openly wondered about this striking newcomer's identity. In the stark, industrial setting, Han Ju-hyuk and Lee Tae-gyu faced each other, a tense silence hanging heavy before their impending scene. An unseen voice cut through the quiet, calling for Scene 34's rehearsal and demanding readiness from all. Han Ju-hyuk's gaze sharpened, a serious intensity burning in his focused eyes. A faint, confident smile played on Lee Tae-gyu's lips, reflecting his inner calm. Han Ju-hyuk's mouth gave a subtle wiggle, a contained reaction betraying his composure. A guttural grunt escaped Han Ju-hyuk, his eyes reflecting a visceral blend of pain and resolve. "Action," the director roared, and then a profound whoosh and rumble emanated from Lee Tae-gyu's shadowy form, an unforeseen ad-lib shattering the script's boundaries. Han Ju-hyuk gasped, "Oh Daebak," in profound shock, as the narration underscored ad-lib's dangerous freedom, capable of wrecking a show. The script, they believed, was the character itself, an actor's sacred conduit to embodying the role. Yet, a character was a living, breathing entity, and the camera could only ever capture one side of its profound existence. It framed but a sliver of that reality, raising the question of whether compressing real lives into a script could ever truly explain a person. Ad-lib, then, was the true essence of showing the unscripted character, filling in even the parts unseen by the camera's limited frame, as Han Ju-hyuk's enraged grip tightened on the briefcase. Han Ju-hyuk gasped in shock as a sinister Lee Tae-gyu, eyes dark and shadowed, swiftly swooshed the briefcase from his grasp. With a grotesque lick of his tongue, Lee Tae-gyu's unsettling intensity clung to the briefcase, a disturbing declaration. Han Ju-hyuk recoiled, his wide, horrified eyes reflecting the blood-red shock of the scene. The man with spiky brown hair blinked in bewildered surprise, the true essence of ad-lib now undeniably revealed. Cut. That's good, an unseen voice declared, marking the end of the intense performance. Han Ju-hyuk gulped down water, each swallow a visceral testament to his exertion. With a weary sigh, Han Ju-hyuk slumped, but Lee Tae-gyu approached, announcing a visitor had arrived to see him. Exhaustion etched onto his face, Han Ju-hyuk curtly dismissed the visitor, irritated by any unscheduled interruption. But a brightly backlit figure appeared in the doorway, Nam Yoon-ju, her challenging question hanging in the air, asking if he was trying to dismiss her too. A gasp escaped Han Ju-hyuk, his shock turning to bewildered recognition. Seo-la-yoon? With a bright, mischievous smile, Nam Yoon-ju looked directly at him, declaring her unwavering intention to take Han Ju-hyuk with her today. An actor's success, the narrative proclaimed, often distilled to a singular, undeniable measure. That measure, burning brightly against the stark backdrop, was nothing less than name recognition. Han Ju-hyuk, Ji Kyung-ho, and Ju Min-hee had each carved their own path, meticulously building the recognition every actor yearned for. Yet, that same journey, one of undeniable star power, Seo-la-yoon had traversed long ago, prompting gasps of bewildered recognition from the astonished crowd. Han Ju-hyuk's frustration boiled over, demanding she leave and stop interfering with his crucial preparations. Seo-la-yoon, however, remained unfazed, accusing him of ingratitude and revealing a director's backing to pull him into a new project. He brushed off her claims, dismissing her theatrical attempts at persuasion, declaring his absolute lack of time for such distractions. She challenged his "no time" excuse, but he roared back, his every minute dedicated to the rigorous rehearsals right now. The bells of his frustration tolled internally, Jong-ul, as he seethed, convinced she merely refused to heed his words. Seo-la-yoon watched, a thoughtful quiet settling over her expression. Then, a provocative question pierced the air: was he afraid of being outshone by another actor, just like before? A slow, knowing smirk, spread across his face, a silent challenge that cut deeper than any words could. Seo-la-yoon's mind reeled, perplexed by his sudden shift from anger to this unsettling amusement. Was the shoot that vital to him? Then, a flicker of understanding ignited deep within her gaze. A powerful aura emanated from Han Ju-hyuk, pushing her back as she realized the terrifying truth: she couldn't tell if this was acting, or if it was truly him. Never had she witnessed Han Ju-hyuk so utterly consumed, so completely dialed into a role. Then, Ji Cheol-gun spotted her, his voice ringing out in genuine surprise, wondering what had brought her to the set. Seo-la-yoon reminded him of her earlier text, prompting an apologetic admission that her visit had completely slipped his mind. With a broad smile and a hasty gesture for her to settle in, Ji Cheol-gun suddenly scurried off, a blur of hurried, hoot-attack apologies. Seo-la-yoon could only watch his retreating back, a questioning sigh escaping her lips. Ji Cheol-gun apologized profusely for the chaotic rush, promising to talk later as he urgently summoned Han Ju-hyuk to begin. With a sharp, sudden, beol-deok movement, Han Ju-hyuk sprang to his feet, a flicker of fierce determination in his eyes. His geobeak footsteps receding, Han Ju-hyuk followed Ji Cheol-gun, leaving Seo-la-yoon to watch them disappear into the distance. Alone now, Seo-la-yoon felt a prickle of unease, something was undeniably off. The narration observed Han Ju-hyuk's raw emotions, undeniably nervous, yet pulsating with a current of palpable excitement. Even Ji Cheol-gun, the busy director, had given her only a fleeting, distracted nod as he rushed by. This strange combination of behaviors, she realized, was a first. A powerful gut feeling pulsed through Seo-la-yoon, something fascinating was unfolding, and there was no force on earth that could make her ignore it. Her purposeful, steps echoed a mounting certainty, guiding her towards the source of this unsettling premonition. A star actor's deepest familiarity wasn't with their craft, but with the omnipresent, unblinking gaze of countless eyes. It was the relentless pull of attention itself that defined them. When someone accustomed to commanding every gaze suddenly found themselves eclipsed, the dynamics shifted profoundly. When someone commanded even more attention than them, it bordered on the impossible. "Excuse me, coming through," Seo-Ayun asserted, cutting through the throng with a resolute push. And the most shocking revelation of all? She didn't even recognize the actor who now held everyone spellbound. The profound impact of an unknown talent left her utterly stunned. The realization hit her like a physical blow. It was that guy, the one who transformed a star actor like herself into merely another captivated spectator. Ji Cheol-gun's voice boomed across the set, signaling the start of "Oh Dayback" scene, before he crisply yelled, "Action." Seo-Ayun wondered how a mere rookie could command such attention alongside Han Joo-hyuk, pondering the very nature of this unfolding scene. The actor with dark slicked-back hair, Oh Dayback, unleashed an eerie, wide grin, his form crackling with malevolent, warrior energy and an almost demonic hee-hee. Seo-Ayun responded with a thoughtful humph, her expression unreadable. Ji Cheol-gun gasped aloud, caught completely off guard by the performance. "Oh, I'm so sorry." Seo-Ayun blurted out, laughing awkwardly as Ji Cheol-gun's face twisted in tisk, annoyance at her interruption. She marveled at the actor's incredible expression, then winced, hoping she hadn't just sabotaged his perfect take. Ji Cheol-gun clicked his tongue in tch frustration, urging the rookie to hold on to that fleeting, powerful expression. The actor with dark slicked-back hair, focused and calm, proposed they go one more time. Ji Cheol-gun's eyes widened, a single, sharp word escaping his lips, "AD-LIB." Then, her eyes fell upon something truly, utterly unbelievable, rendering her speechless with shock. His movements, his voice, his very habits, even the minute shifts in his facial muscles, all coalesced into an outpouring of raw, visceral emotion. A rookie actor, flawlessly summoning such intricate details and profound depth, without a single misstep. Seo-Ayun, dumbfounded and breathless, questioned the impossible precision of such an ad-libbed performance. Then, a sobering thought struck her: could Han Joo-hyuk, his scene partner, truly stand his ground against such a monumental display of acting prowess? Her thoughts challenged him, wondering if he could possibly match such an extraordinary force. Han Joo-hyuk, the lead of Grey City, usually evaluated other actors, but now he faced a powerful, almost demonic Lee Tae-gyu, shimmering with blue flames. This evaluating role had become so habitual, his dismissive gaze towards partners felt normal, a cruel irony, as he inflicted the very look he once despised. But now, a visceral, Kuljiak gulp revealed his shift. He wasn't judging his partner, but himself, with an unfair, brutal intensity. He had to, for if he didn't, he would crumble. He had to rise to the formidable challenge posed by the opponent blazing before him. As his gaze met the actor's, a blazing, warrior realization struck him: truly great acting wasn't imitation, but a profound transformation. It was a fiery metamorphosis, not mere imitation, as he felt the intense gyo of absolute transformation ignite within him. Han Joo-hyuk, Seo-Ayun whispered, her voice laced with profound shock as she witnessed his incredible change. His transformed face left her speechless, overwhelmed by the sheer power of his expression. Acting, the core of this fiery exchange, felt intensely fun, yet profoundly powerful. From an ethereal void, a figure of Lee Tae-gyu emerged, pulsating with blue and yellow energy, reflecting on the profound feelings acting with you had ignited. He had known the joy of his craft, the bitter disappointment of unparalleled skill, and even respect for his seniors, yet, a deeper truth lingered amidst those feelings. The most intense sensation he had ever known was the terrible, crushing loneliness. This isolating journey defined the solitary path of an artist striving to reach a desired level of mastery. That fierce solitude, he realized, must have been the secret to your incredibly ferocious acting skills, a deep emotional line he could now, fortunately, understand. He finally grasped the raw, burning essence of it all. Suddenly, the dreamlike sequence shattered, replaced by the gritty reality of Lee Tae-gyu's distressed, "What?" escaping his lips. His hand trembled, reaching out towards a briefcase, his furious demand for Department Head Joe echoing a desperate battle against an unseen enemy. A silent resolve then hardened his bloodshot eyes as he muttered, clinging to the fragile hope that this money would finally be enough. The sharp tap of his quick footsteps underscored his urgent flight through the dark, grimy corridor. A chilling, maniacal laugh escaped him, a sinister blend of relief and unhinged confidence. His declaration, "I don't need anything anymore," teetered precariously between resolute and utterly deranged. He clutched the briefcase like a lifeline, believing its contents were all he needed as he sprinted through the night. His frantic, determined flight continued, each stride fueled by sheer adrenaline and the desperate hope of escape. Then, with a jarring thud, his desperate rush was cut short by the sudden, ominous presence of Han Ju-hyuk, blocking his path. A calm voice sliced through Lee Tae-gyu's terror, asking him to hold on a second, its politeness only deepening his fear. His backward glance confirmed his worst fears, a silent scream of terror in his wide, panicking eyes. Han Ju-hyuk's unwavering finger cut through the murky air, a silent, authoritative command. Han Ju-hyuk's composed question, "Where are you taking that?" was a direct, unsettling challenge to Lee Tae-gyu's frantic escape. A faint, chilling smirk played on Han Ju-hyuk's lips as he clarified, leaving no doubt about his target, the very item Lee Tae-gyu held. Trapped and terrified, Lee Tae-gyu could only stammer, what now, his fear palpable in the tense silence. Han Ju-hyuk introduced himself as Oh Daebak, his slightly unsettling confidence doing little to ease Lee Tae-gyu's mounting anxiety. Lee Tae-gyu's fearful question, asking if his tormentor had business with him, hung heavy in the air, a desperate plea for reason. He tried to walk away, a futile attempt to regain control as Han Ju-hyuk remained an unyielding, silent presence. Han Ju-hyuk's head tilted, his smirk dripping with contempt as he questioned Lee Tae-gyu's shameless nature. His hand clamped down firmly on the briefcase, a possessive, non-negotiable claim of ownership. A desperate surge of defiance briefly eclipsed Lee Tae-gyu's fear as he challenged Han Ju-hyuk to reveal the case's password. Han Ju-hyuk remained unperturbed, his downward gaze conveying a calm, unsettling composure. His sinister smirk returned, now accompanied by the glint of a knife, transforming his words into an undeniable threat. Lee Tae-gyu's terrified gasp of, "You're crazy," was swallowed by the sudden, terrifying whiz of the blade as Han Ju-hyuk lunged. The sharp swoosh of the knife cut the air, a blurred arc of pure, aggressive intent. His wide, primal eyes tracked the metallic glint as it narrowly missed him, an inch away from sealing his fate. A desperate, panicked shriek burst from Lee Tae-gyu, throwing out random names in a frantic attempt to identify his tormentor. Han Ju-hyuk leaned in, his face a mask of menacing fury, spewing a chilling, visceral threat to slice any scammer into sashimi. Lee Tae-gyu's raw screams of "Wah" and "Ugh" echoed, testament to his utter terror and overwhelming pain. The knife arced through the air with a menacing whoosh, punctuating Han Ju-hyuk's clipped command, "Leave." Enraged, Han Ju-hyuk lunged forward, the knife slice accompanying his furious demand for Lee Tae-gyu to abandon the case. Lee Tae-gyu scrambled away, the briefcase still clutched in his panicked grasp as he fled into the chaotic night. With a series of frantic taps and thuds, he stumbled and fell, crying out in raw pain as the briefcase bounced away. A final, lonely clatter echoed in the quiet street as his glasses hit the cold pavement. Han Ju-hyuk's calm voice sliced through the stillness, observing the defeated figure on the ground, "You're finally stopping." From his shadowed position, Lee Tae-gyu's voice was thin, a desperate plea for a civilized conversation amidst the madness. Han Ju-hyuk's shadowed eye held an unsettling glint as he spun a web of false promises, his words laced with subtle menace, promising double repayment. A defiant clink echoed as Lee Tae-gyu's hand closed around the fallen knife, a flicker of desperate resolve igniting in his eyes. His voice cracked, a terrified snarl of a threat directed at the implacable figure before him, "I'll kill you." Han Ju-hyuk's calm footsteps belied the unnerving monologue he delivered, detailing the pathetic nature of past pursuers. His smirk widened, and with a dramatic flourish, he revealed the shocking payload of dynamite beneath his jacket, mocking any who dared threaten him as mere cowards. His voice caught in his throat, a barely coherent "a bomb," escaping his lips as his eye dilated with pure, unadulterated horror. A quiet click was instantly obliterated by a deafening bang, a violent whoosh of debris, and a final, earth-shattering boom. A collective gasp seemed to hang in the air as the male observers stared, mouths agape with disbelief. Even through his headphones, Ji Cheol-gun's face registered absolute, visceral shock. Nam Yoonju's hands flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with horrified distress. Then, a voice broke the tension, cut, dissolving the illusion and revealing the artifice of a flawlessly executed one-take. His chest heaved with exertion, his heart hammering a frantic thump after the intense, exhilarating scene. Lee Tae-gyu's eye gleamed with a ferocious exhilaration, a profound sense of being alive pulsing within him. Han Ju-hyuk, still breathless, offered genuine praise, which Lee Tae-gyu humbly deflected, attributing their success to his partner. A fiery thrill surged within him, a sensation he hadn't felt in years, a testament to having surpassed his own limitations. Despite his exhaustion, a knowing smile touched Han Ju-hyuk's lips, intuiting a shared, profound kinship with Lee Tae-gyu. Han Ju-hyuk's cheerful declaration for La Galbi was met with Lee Tae-gyu's utter, terror-stricken disbelief, but it was just for 1 second. An overwhelming force ripped through the air, momentarily stunning the figure caught within the cinematic chaos. A quiet sense of triumph settled on his face, the subtle curve of his lips hinting at deep satisfaction. Contagious laughter erupted, a shared exultation vibrating through the editing suite as they reveled in their collective success. A sly, almost mischievous satisfaction flickered across Ji Cheol-gun's face as he gently shifted, his inner glee barely contained. Kwak In-ho's hearty laughter filled the room, a jubilant explosion of sound celebrating their hard-won achievement. A wave of collective elation washed over the group, their excited affirmations echoing the shared triumph of a successful project. Kwak In-ho, beaming with pride, extended a warm invitation for them to witness the fruits of their exceptional labor. Han Ju-hyuk's utter exhaustion was palpable, a stark contrast to Lee Tae-gyu's quiet, empathetic observation that he sorely needed rest. Kwak In-ho inquired after Lee Tae-gyu's endurance, oblivious to the fact that the actor's resilience far outstripped Han Ju-hyuk's 20 grueling retakes. A subtle smirk played on Ji Cheol-gun's lips as the narrator introduced him and Choi Song-cheol, 2 architects of the project's success now reflecting in the dim light. Utterly drained, Han Ju-hyuk's voice was a mere rasp, a desperate plea for his manager as profound weariness claimed him entirely. Kwak In-ho, with a friendly smile, accompanied Lee Tae-gyu as he departed, marking the quiet conclusion of his first day on set. The quiet significance of Lee Tae-gyu's inaugural shoot for Ashen City settled around him, a milestone achieved. Their footsteps provided a rhythmic, subdued cadence as Lee Tae-gyu and Kwak In-ho walked away, the day's events receding into the cool evening. A sharp note of surprise cut through the quiet as Kwak In-ho questioned Lee Tae-gyu about his alleged signing with YKB. Lee Tae-gyu offered a contrite apology for his secrecy, which Kwak In-ho dismissed, yet with a firm insistence on reviewing the contract later. Kwak In-ho's voice took on a grave tone, warning Lee Tae-gyu about the industry's most vulnerable targets, a truth Lee Tae-gyu admitted he did not yet understand. His words were a blunt, uncomfortable truth, the most susceptible were exactly those like Lee Tae-gyu, brimming with talent and passion, yet tragically naive. A subtle assurance touched Lee Tae-gyu's lips as he expressed gratitude for the concern, revealing his foresight in signing only a temporary 6-month agreement. The words, 6 years, caught in Kwak In-ho's throat, abruptly truncated by a dawning, incredulous realization. A soft, questioning escaped Kwak In-ho, his eyes widening as the implications slowly began to unfurl. Kwak In-ho suddenly grasped the brilliant timing of the short contract, while Lee Tae-gyu feigned an innocent curiosity about any potential issue. Kwak In-ho's grin widened, having dissected Lee Tae-gyu's clever play, which for a moment, disarmed the actor completely. With a confident air, he asserted that his talent alone had swayed their decision, securing the unusual arrangement. Kwak In-ho conceded for now, but his insistence on reviewing the contract lingered as Lee Tae-gyu departed with a polite bow. As Lee Tae-gyu's form receded into the city's embrace, Kwak In-ho's mind grappled with the perplexing implications of YKB's surprising 6-month commitment to a rookie. Such a rare contract allowed for only 2 scenarios, a tentative claim on an uncertain actor, or a desperate grasp at unreachable talent. Lee Tae-gyu, he knew, hadn't yet reached the latter. He wrestled with the CEO's motive, wondering if ambition or madness had driven such an unusual decision. Regardless, 6 months was an extraordinary boon, for with the dazzling talent Lee Tae-gyu possessed, he would effortlessly become a national sensation. A serene calm settled over Kwak In-ho as he processed his intricate calculations. With a soft exhalation, Kwak In-ho felt a surprising sense of peace wash over him. The names Ji Kyung-ho, Ju Min-hee, and Go Sun-hyung whispered through the air, conjuring the mysterious allure of an Italian romance. These were the very figures who remained blissfully unaware of his profound work on Ashen City, a silent irony Kwak In-ho pondered deeply. Until recently, an immense reservoir of Kwak In-ho's passion had been poured into their narratives. An explosive rage threatened to consume him, but with steely resolve, he suppressed it, knowing such distractions were unworthy of his present focus. Kwak In-ho's casual query was met by Ji Cheol-gun's enthusiastic script presentation, a snapshot of their shared struggle as industry outsiders clawing their way up. They were the hungry, the relentless, those who had forged their paths from the absolute bottom through sheer, unyielding will. Having struggled so far, a quiet question lingered: could such weary travelers truly press onward, or had they reached their inevitable limit? Ji Cheol-gun recounted the actors' passionate improvisations, revealing an unexpected surge of creative energy, a testament to their renewed, collective drive. Their collective passion burned anew, like a perfectly tuned engine ready for a long, exhilarating journey. A sudden understanding sparked in Kwak In-ho, a profound truth about life's unexpected turns, confirming a certain day's arrival. This transformative feeling, a resurgence of freshness in the mundane, reminded him of the exhilarating, purposeful days when he first embraced his identity as a writer. Ji Cheol-gun, muttering about the tangled threads of narration, addressed Kwak In-ho with a hint of exasperated critique. A sharp, urgent voice cut through the air, signaling the relentless march toward the next scene. Ji Cheol-gun voiced his confusion, questioning the urgency of a summons when his current duties were complete. The frustrated voice passionately reminded Kwak In-ho of his critical role, emphasizing the writer's duty to harness the actor's overflowing, post-scene inspiration. A sudden, sharp realization dawned upon Kwak In-ho. Kwak In-ho, his priorities realigned, swiftly postponed their discussion and bolted, leaving Ji Cheol-gun to calmly concur. They once whispered that Lee Tae-gyu's presence at the script reading had woven a subtle magic into the very fabric of the set. Yet, the truth was, of all those touched by Lee Tae-gyu, Kwak In-ho himself had undergone the most profound, silent transformation. Under the cool city lights, Lee Tae-gyu stood, a solitary figure awaiting the unknown. A strange, almost palpable energy seemed to emanate from the distant set, a feeling Lee Tae-gyu couldn't quite place. He felt an immense clamor, an impossible surge of sound, yet the set was far too remote for any noise to truly reach him here. A jolt of recognition struck him, connecting this strange sensation to a vivid memory from the casino, and suddenly, he understood. A wide, unsettling smirk spread across his face, a silent declaration of cunning satisfaction. His gaze sharpened, an intense focus settling within his eyes. Brilliant streaks of light danced across the darkness, hinting at an unseen, vibrant energy. Lee Tae-gyu's eyes widened in profound astonishment as brilliant flashes abruptly pierced his vision. A raw cry of sheer awe escaped him, echoing the sudden, dazzling display. He stood transfixed as a majestic cascade of shimmering lights, like a river of falling stars, descended upon the city, drawing an awestruck gasp from him. Overwhelmed by the celestial spectacle, Lee Tae-gyu murmured his gratitude, realizing how deeply he cherished his journey as an actor. The tender moment shattered as a hand lightly touched his shoulder, a voice quietly concurring with his unspoken thought. A confident voice praised his natural acting, a casual compliment that carried an unexpected weight. A bold proposition followed. The widely acknowledged top star, Seo-ah-yoon, now confidently invited him to star in a film alongside her. Lee Tae-gyu, jolted from his reverie, could only manage a bewildered query, utterly stunned by the dazzling top star's sudden, impactful appearance, a swift 5-second stun. Seo-ah-yoon was utterly baffled, unaware that the country's most famous celebrity could feel such profound confusion. She was so admired that even other entertainers looked up to her. Yet for someone of her unparalleled stature, this day unfolded in the most bizarre way imaginable. To have a rookie overshadow her, commanding more attention than she did, was a rare and stinging blow. She could tolerate being overshadowed, but the idea that this rookie might not recognize her was an unthinkable affront, leaving her in utter disbelief. With a strained, disbelieving smile, Seo-ah-yoon incredulously spelled out her own name, desperately seeking the recognition she felt she was owed. Lee Tae-gyu's acknowledgement was belated and startlingly casual. He had, indeed, seen her on television. A hint of smug relief crossed Seo-ah-yoon's face as she asserted that he must have known her identity all along. With a casual flick of his wrist, Lee Tae-gyu reduced her entire persona to merely, coffee commercial girl. Seo-ah-yoon, the widely acknowledged top star and self-proclaimed, cool girl, felt her teeth clench with a grinding sound of pure fury. From his persistent annoyance and confused questioning about whether she was the apartment commercial girl, she clearly sensed his lingering irritation. He remained annoyed because her fuss had caused an NG during what was, crucially, his very first shoot. A sudden understanding dawned on Seo-ah-yoon. He was a single-track man, caring for nothing but his craft. Lee Tae-gyu's intense focus confirmed Seo-ah-yoon's thought. He was, in essence, an acting perfectionist. Forget messy excuses, Seo-ah-yoon thought, then offered a practiced apology, claiming his exceptional acting had caught her off guard. Lee Tae-gyu, surprised, was met with Seo-ah-yoon's revelation that his acting had impressed her enough to call him for a role in her historical romance film, Spring Days. This was the oversized ego of a top star at play, an apology as a mere prelude to barreling forward, backed by a cool indifference that anticipated no real pushback. The unyielding deference of others, bowing whenever she apologized and spilling secrets unprompted, had forged her into the high and mighty star she was today. So, she expected the rookie to react the same way, yet his calm, "I see," was utterly unexpected. His lukewarm response was entirely unexpected, leaving Seo-ah-yoon utterly taken aback. The dismissive, "I see," infuriated Seo-ah-yoon, stealing her resolve to assert her ground. Clenching her jaw, Seo-ah-yoon impatiently demanded to know if he was interested in the supporting role she was offering, which he calmly confirmed. With a smug smile, she emphasized the sheer exclusivity of her offer, reminding him that most actors yearn for such a chance. But Lee Tae-gyu's response was as cool and unyielding as before. His interest depended entirely on the role itself. Her initial fury about his audacity quickly transformed into persuasion, as she assured him it was a sizable supporting role with many scenes alongside herself. Lee Tae-gyu hummed thoughtfully, weighing the implications of her words. At its core, the entertainment industry was a treacherous pit, writhing with vipers. Schemes and power struggles were rampant, and without the primal instinct to seize every opportunity, one's lifeline could be severed in a flash. "You'd share the frame with me," Seo-ah-yoon shrieked, a testament to her own deep immersion in the industry's cutthroat battles. Like a red-scaled serpent, she ruthlessly cut down screen-only actors, sent the untalented packing, and crushed any agency daring to play games with contracts. To someone like her, this rookie should have been nothing more than a clueless pawn, accidentally caught in her web, but he seemed far from it. But how many actors his age could truly trade blows, matching his raw acting intensity beat for beat in such a dramatic confrontation? With such profound skill, he didn't appear oblivious, but rather as someone harboring immense complexity and untold depths. A sudden surge of realization crackled through Seo-ah-yoon, making her heart thump wildly. This was it, he was the one who could push her acting beyond all previous limits. Lee Tae-gyu asked for the role's name, and Seo Ah-yoon simply stated, Jong. Lee Tae-gyu declared he would read the script first, and Seo Ah-yoon, with a confident smile, anticipated his inevitable acceptance once he did. Sis, wait. Lee Tae-gyu interjected, prompting an annoyed, what, from Seo Ah-yoon. With a slight smirk, Lee Tae-gyu revealed that his CEO had recently secured a movie script and was urgently seeking a cameo for the project. Lee Tae-gyu's smug suggestion that he would weigh her offer against a mere cameo sent Seo Ah-yoon into a furious, disbelieving rage. With a parting smirk, Lee Tae-gyu dismissed her, thanked her for the offer, and promised to contact her once he decided, as his ride awaited. Ha! Hey! Hey, you! Seo Ah-yoon cried out, her exasperation growing with every receding footstep. Then, a stunning realization hit her, he didn't even have her number. On the grill, raw meat sizzled, filling the air with the promise of a satisfying meal. Lee Tae-gyu savored his favorite dish, galbi, a delightful perk of shooting days that his company covered. His stylist laughed, encouraging them to eat while it was hot, as the manager cheerfully confirmed their enjoyment of the meal. While Lee Tae-gyu considered the meal great welfare, his stylist and manager, assuming he'd rejected Seo Ah-yoon, pressed him for details about their earlier encounter. When he casually revealed he was pondering a leading role Seo Ah-yoon had personally offered, both their faces contorted into expressions of utter shock. In truth, they reported Lee Tae-gyu's every move to their team leader, hoping to gather enough information to convert his rare short-term contract into a long-term one. Yet, despite their current mission, they fundamentally disliked actors, having been burned by a trash actor in the past, viewing all others as disgusting opportunists. As Lee Tae-gyu happily munched his galbi, cheeks puffed out, his team wondered if he had presented this same innocent demeanor to Seo Ah-yoon. Lee Tae-gyu's sudden concern that they weren't enjoying the food prompted a nervous "and no, that's not it," from the manager, as both agents shared a striking realization. The manager conceded that the food was good, a faint smile playing on his lips, thinking that this might finally be an actor truly worth their care. The grill was now empty, the meal finished. With a contented sigh, Lee Tae-gyu declared the meal perfect and suggested a brief rest, to which the manager readily agreed. During their break, Lee Tae-gyu, ever the professional, meticulously read the script, discovering it was a fusion historical romance about King Taejong Lee Bangwon and Queen Wang Yeongmin. As he skimmed the pages, one particular name abruptly caught his eye. This was Jong, the role Seo Ah-yoon offered him, a character far removed from common frail depictions, instead a robust interpretation steeped in historical records. A warrior strongly resembling his father, King Taejo E Songai, Jongjong's imposing presence drew his younger brother Taejong E Bangwon and Queen Wang Yeongmin closer to him. His spirit and imposing presence were unmistakably that of a tiger, wild and formidable. And then, Lee Tae-gyu let out a gasp of intense surprise. Ha! What's wrong? The manager exclaimed, instantly worried that Lee Tae-gyu had eaten too much and was unwell. Tiger. Lee Tae-gyu stammered, a powerful realization cutting through his mind like a flash of lightning, as the spirit of a tiger roared above him. The aggressive dogs within the enclosure unleashed a furious cacophony, their barks ripping through the tense air. A sudden, visceral wave of terror crashed over the young man, his startled cry echoing the immediate danger. As the furious barks and growls intensified, the young man stumbled and fell in sheer terror, all under the unyielding gaze of an older man. With an icy finality, the older man declared his judgment, "You're out, too. Go home." The frustrated young man, still on the ground, challenged the unconventional addition, demanding to know what kind of director judged like this, only for the older man to defiantly state, "I do." His voice raw with anger, the young man demanded at least an explanation for his failure. The older man's response was stark and simple, "You got scared." A pause, then a defensive, "So what?" slipped from the young man's lips, challenging the weight of that simple truth. The older man's gaze was piercing as he pressed, "Did you even read the script for Halcyon Days?" Lee Bangwa, a true lord of the mountain, possessed a formidable anger that even Lee Bangwon struggled against, his presence like a tiger among warriors, eyes burning with untamed ferocity. But instead of scaring the dog, the older man continued, his voice laced with disdain, "What good is an actor who's scared of a dog?" With a definitive wave of his hand, the older man offered cab fare, his command sharp, "Just leave." A crushing silence fell over the young man as the weight of his dismissal settled, leaving him wordless and defeated. Director Koo Young-hwan scoffed at the departing actor, mocking his self-proclaimed machismo. The director held a bizarre yet unyielding set of principles, his authority unquestionable, his words striking with the force of snarling beasts. His influence spanned far beyond the set, extending to investors and production companies who dared not challenge the name of this 10 million viewer director, who was now intently searching for his next star. He sought an actor who could project terrifying charisma, someone to leave audiences breathless with intensity, yet the director despaired, "How is there not a single decent guy?" Cheon Yu-sung, portraying King Taejong Lee Bang-won, expressed concern that the director was pushing too far, especially after hearing about the reshoot of Suho's previous scene. The director, resolute in his methods, explained his belief that fear was merely a reaction, but courage, a conscious decision, was the path to better acting. The young actor questioned the link to a terrifying actor, but the director insisted it was essential for Lee Bang-won's vulnerability to feel real, arguing that romance thrived on tension, a perfect blend of sweet and salty. His voice tinged with skepticism, the young man pointedly asked if the director's method involved unleashing a dog to test this. Seo La-yoon, playing Queen Won-young of the Min clan, thought the director's stubbornness was a malady worse than any other, declaring aloud, "I swear, you're killing me." Upon spotting her manager, Seo La-yoon playfully demanded the director get her coffee, igniting a humorous back and forth about the manager's duties and the superior taste of coffee bought with someone else's money. The director, his expression etched with impatience, pressed for news on Han Joo-hyuk's decision regarding a potential role. Seo La-yoon dismissed the idea with a confident smirk, suggesting Han Joo-hyuk simply despised playing a supporting role to her. The young man casually countered that Han Joo-hyuk wasn't one to avoid supporting roles, but was likely wary of Yu-sung, and after all, Jong-jong was merely a hype man for their characters. The director's tone was challenging as he reminded her of her promise to recruit her friend, wondering if it had all been a bluff. Seo La-yoon's smile was triumphant as she declared Han Joo-hyuk was no longer needed, for she had found someone even better. A single, startled word escaped the director's lips, "What?" Seo La-yoon slid her sunglasses down, her eyes sharp as she asked the director about his connections at YKB, a new plan already forming. The director's call of "cut" brought a wave of relief over Lee Tae-gyu, and a voice from off-panel praised his great performance. As daebak scenes concluded, a crew member assured Lee Tae-gyu his hard work would shine, promising his performance would truly pop in the final edit. With all of daebak scenes 4, Ashen City, wrapped, Lee Tae-gyu's professional ties to the set were severed, leaving him to walk away from a completed job. The set, once vibrant with his energy, quieted as crew members noted Lee Tae-gyu's departure, speculating his minor role was finished and urging each other to keep working hard. A crew member reflected on Lee Tae-gyu's complete dedication, wishing he could finally rest after pouring his entire being into that performance. A man questioned if Lee Tae-gyu was affiliated with YKB. Upon hearing YKB, a crew member speculated Lee Tae-gyu was already rushing to another director, noting how the agency worked rookies to the bone, yet believed Lee Tae-gyu would ultimately be fine. Lee Tae-gyu silently observed his own pensive expression, reflecting on how, for some, acting every day was their greatest joy, sensing that the other actor was already consumed by his next role. His mind narrowed, Lee Tae-gyu focused intently, the word tiger, tiger, echoing within his thoughts. A few days prior, at the zoo, a magnificent tiger slept peacefully under the calm afternoon sun. The young man gripped the metal bars, teeth gritted, forcing a fierce growl from his throat in a desperate attempt to embody the animal's fury. Lee Tae-gyu, self-critically, knew his imitation was too vague, while the actual tiger simply blinked back, seemingly confused by the human's antics. Lee Tae-gyu pondered the limitations of copying animal emotions, noting the phantom flame's peculiar shifting color and form, hinting at a deeper mystery to his powers. Watching the tiger lazily yawn, Lee Tae-gyu rationalized its behavior, attributing its calm to the same mood swings that affected humans. Despite an initial rush of stimulation, Lee Tae-gyu wondered if the confined setting of the zoo itself was limiting his true connection to the tiger's essence. He considered Jong-jong's explosive anger in Halcyon Days, realizing the character was described as a tiger, which had initially made him believe the zoo would be the perfect source of inspiration. A burning desire ignited within him, to truly understand and embody fury and wildness was no longer just a challenge, but a craving he could not ignore, rejecting the mere portrayal of a very angry person. As a tiger calmly groomed its paw, Lee Tae-gyu's frustration reached its peak, wondering what on earth he was supposed to do. A hand held a smartphone, its screen displaying the contact for CEO Do Yoon-seop. A gentle melody broke the silence, signaling an incoming call which Lee Tae-gyu promptly answered. CEO Do Yoon-seop answered with a direct inquiry, "Yeah, Tae-gyu. What's up?" The CEO, currently reviewing Lee Tae-gyu's freshly arrived scene footage, paused his work to take the call, assuring him it was no interruption. As the CEO inquired about the purpose of his call, a colossal wave surged across the scene, hinting at the monumental request Lee Tae-gyu was about to make. The CEO preempted Lee Tae-gyu's concerns about Halcyon Days, assuring him he had already smoothed things over with director Koo Young-hwan, urging him instead to simply focus on his upcoming camera test. Lee Tae-gyu clarified that his call was about his acting for the camera test, and he had an important favor to ask. The CEO's voice conveyed genuine bewilderment. Acting? A favor? Despite his firm belief in Lee Tae-gyu's abilities, the CEO expressed his readiness to help, simply asking, "Just tell me what you need." Do Yoon-seop was a man virtually impossible to describe in a single sentence, yet one phrase always held true, he was perpetually brimming with confidence. This was a man who scoffed at pressure, believing with unshakable conviction that he could achieve anything, internally declaring his own immense capacity to accommodate someone of Lee Tae-gyu's caliber. As Lee Tae-gyu hesitantly began, "Then, I'm sorry to ask, but," the CEO mentally urged the proven rookie to simply state his desire. With unyielding resolve, the CEO internally decreed, "And it shall be yours." Lee Tae-gyu fumbled his words, a hesitant, Tae-gyu. Escaping his lips, as the CEO's confident expression slowly morphed into surprise, then subtle amusement. Sometime in the future, CEO Lee Tae-gyu would reflect on this moment, expressing exasperation at Lee Tae-gyu's demand for a wild tiger and admitting he had no idea why, concluding that geniuses were, indeed, just a bunch of nutjobs. The combined might of Night, Aurora, Quantum, and Leviathan scans heralded an epic merger, promising an explosion of incredible series, lightning-fast releases, and a vibrant community from QI scans. Whispers carried surprise that actor Lee Tae-gyu had visited the zoo on his day off, speculating if he had gone specifically to see the tigers. With an intense gaze, the manager demanded meticulous reports moving forward, then disconnected the call as he drove, assuring the caller he would soon arrive at the actor's residence. A wave of apprehension washed over the manager as he uttered a foreboding plea, "CEO, don't tell me." His mouth agape in disbelief, the manager sought confirmation, "You want me to go to actor Lee Tae-gyu's house?" CEO Lee Tae-gyu gave the swift command, "Yes, go right now," and the manager, though complying instantly, urgently sought to understand the matter at hand. With a contemplative air, CEO Lee Tae-gyu reflected on his own realism, conceding he had been called crazy before, yet drawing a line at living in a casino just to prepare for a gambler role. The manager, with a slight nod of acknowledgement, humbly affirmed, "Of course not, sir." Then, with an abrupt shift, CEO Lee Tae-gyu presented his manager with a question. His grin widening to an almost maniacal degree, CEO Lee Tae-gyu's intense gaze demanded to know where Lee Tae-gyu would venture to truly capture the very spirit of a tiger. An unsettling, sinister grin stretched across CEO Lee Tae-gyu's face as he rhetorically questioned if Lee Tae-gyu could ever find satisfaction with a mere zoo for his preparations. Utter shock contorted the manager's features as he stammered, then cried out, "What?" in sheer disbelief. As CEO Lee Tae-gyu calmly reiterated, "Get moving, hurry," the manager, now visibly panicked, saluted with a sharp, "Yes, sir." With a resolute push, Lee Tae-gyu opened the door, his gaze set on a hidden destination. A sharp call from the manager echoed down the hall, making Lee Tae-gyu pause in surprise. The manager rushed forward, his voice laced with frantic concern, "W8. Where are you going?" With a hint of his own surprise, Lee Tae-gyu quietly uttered his intended destination, Baked Mountain. A wave of pure, unadulterated horror seized the manager, his jaw dropping in utter disbelief. The manager's mind reeled with anxious frustration, knowing director Koo Young-hwan's notorious pickiness, and the undeniable impossibility of importing a wild tiger, even as Lee Tae-gyu glowed with the ethereal aura of the beast itself. He had simply lost all hope of swaying Lee Tae-gyu, a man who, in his manager's eyes, was far from ordinary. Lee Tae-gyu pondered the undeniable rejection, he's saying it's a no-go, before concluding with a sigh of mild disappointment, "That's a shame." Lee Tae-gyu mused on the limitations, realizing that even CEO Doo's considerable influence couldn't sway this, as his hand erupted in a vibrant, ethereal glow. The manager, his voice laced with concern, called out, "Mr. Lee. Chief." A hopeful but slightly anxious young man, who would soon be identified as Chief Jang, offered a new possibility. "I looked into it, and how about this?" Chief Jang explained that one could safely observe tigers in South African or Chinese wildlife parks, but added that these days, travel wasn't even necessary, as he rapidly typed, revealing 24-hour live webcams. Lee Tae-gyu reacted with an astonished gasp, his voice filled with genuine wonder, Wow. He marveled at the sight of actual wild tigers filmed in real time, thinking the world had advanced so much, when a sudden realization cut his thoughts short. "Wait a minute." Lee Tae-gyu exclaimed, a surge of intense energy radiating from him as he realized his profound oversight, having once copied Du Kwang-sian's acting directly from a live broadcast. With an unsettling smirk spreading across his face, Lee Tae-gyu declared his intense resolve, "Time to dig in." Chief Jang, with a hopeful yet slightly nervous smile, tentatively asked Lee Tae-gyu, "Will this do? Even if it's a bit lacking." A low, resonant sound accompanied Lee Tae-gyu's sudden appearance, towering over Chief Jang with a wide, unsettling grin that left the young man visibly startled. "Tae-gyu," the manager interjected, his voice edged with concern and confusion, Is there a problem?" With a wide, almost forced smile, Lee Tae-gyu dismissed his unsettling demeanor as, just a habit, which only left the manager even more confused. While Chief Jang and Lee Tae-gyu were deep in conversation, the astute manager had already located an array of tigers on the laptop screen. Thanks to the manager's quick thinking, Lee Tae-gyu was able to borrow the laptop until his upcoming camera test. Eventually, Lee Tae-gyu found himself left all alone in the quiet room. Within the room's minimal lighting, the laptop screen glowed, a singular, brilliant focus. Lee Tae-gyu's intense, unsettling grin remained fixed, an unchanging expression of his deepening absorption. A lone figure moved forward, each step holding an unspoken anticipation. "Director," the assistant gasped, "for the role of King Jongjong, I think he is here." A silent, powerful force made its presence known. A female staff member confirmed with quiet certainty, "He's here." Lee Tae-gyu declared his name, a roaring tiger aura blazing around him. Director Gu smirked, "Look at this guy. For a rookie, he's putting on quite the airs, isn't he? Or did agency culture change recently?" He continued his critical assessment, noting the chauffeured ride and bodyguards, wondering if they were catering to Lee Tae-gyu too much. Director Gu confidently predicted, "He's going to be finished in no time anyway." A male staff member warned Lee Tae-gyu about Director Gu Jonghwan, a notorious figure famous for making rookies cry, and offered support should things go poorly. Lee Tae-gyu, calm and resolute, instructed everyone to return to the car. As the female staff member expressed concern, he simply stated, "Just let me focus on acting." With an intense gaze, Lee Tae-gyu reassured himself, "Everything will be fine." Director Gu, arms crossed, challenged him about his preparation for the role, and Lee Tae-gyu calmly affirmed, "Yes." Director Gu warned him, "I heard ad-libbing is your specialty, but don't go throwing in any bizarre interpretations." Lee Tae-gyu's task was to act out the day's good old number 65, specifically King Jongjong yelling at Lee Bangwon trying to pour him a drink. He needed to express the full aura of King Jongjong with just one line. Director Gu instructed a handler to prepare, hinting at an unconventional test. The handler approached, his heavy steps preceding him, towards cages holding agitated dogs. With a deliberate kick, the handler struck one of the metal cages. The dogs reacted fiercely, snarling and barking with aggression. As the dogs barked and growled, Director Gu, a pleased smile on his face, called, "Now, action." Director Gu intended to test the actor's limits. He sought a justifiable excuse to push them, forcing Lee Tae-gyu to overcome a bizarre form of sadism, as the dogs barked and growled. His staff members observed Lee Tae-gyu's confident approach, one even worriedly speculating if he would rip his eyes out, as the actor walked deliberately towards the agitated dogs. A large dog snarled, its yellow eye burning with menace. Then, abruptly, the aggressive dogs were wide-eyed and terrified. One of the large dogs whimpered and yelped, cowering before Lee Tae-gyu's towering presence. What? What's wrong with the dogs?" Director Gu stammered, utterly bewildered. The male staff member explained, "Tucking their tails and peeing means they are terrified." An agitated Director Gu demanded to know why these fierce, biting dogs were suddenly so scared. Director Gu, baffled, wondered what the rookie had done, even mentally questioning if Lee Tae-gyu would eat them alive, as Lee Tae-gyu's eye glowed with intense, radiating power. Director Gu flinched back in irritation, as the narration declared that a dog's bark is a sign of weakness. A bark is a plea to be left alone, an assertion of strength against defeat, the narration continued, as Lee Tae-gyu reached a hand into the cage. If dogs bark from weakness, what of the strong, the apex predators who do nothing? Director Gu shouted, "Hey, rookie. Putting your hand in there is dangerous." Because they feel no threat, Lee Tae-gyu calmly showed, gently petting the once fierce dog's head through the bars, leaving it calm and content. Lee Tae-gyu erupted in powerful, triumphant laughter. Director Gu looked up, deeply offended, thinking, "What is with this bastard? Is he laughing at me? A mere rookie, to a director with 10 million viewers." Lee Tae-gyu let out a satisfied sigh, his presence still commanding. Then, Lee Tae-gyu unleashed an incredibly fierce and terrifying scream, vibrating with a demonic aura. Director Gu groaned, utterly overwhelmed by the intensity. Both staff members watched, their faces frozen in horror. Director Gu collapsed to the ground, stunned by Lee Tae-gyu's performance. "Crazy." The female staff member breathed, dumbfounded. What? Director Gu stammered from the ground as Lee Tae-gyu took a step toward him. "Fear is a reaction," the narration explained, as Lee Tae-gyu advanced, causing Director Gu to frantically ask, "What are you doing right now? Why are you coming this way?" Director Gu, paralyzed by terror, pleaded, "My legs have no strength. Don't come any closer." An ironic twist on his own favorite saying. Lee Tae-gyu looked down, a subtle smirk playing on his lips, and said, This. I am sorry. I accidentally moved in the middle of acting, since you didn't give me the cue sign to stop. Shall we do it again?" Lee Tae-gyu offered casually, leaving Director Gu utterly bewildered. Director Gu, still shaken, asked if that powerful display was his portrayal of Jongjong, to which Lee Tae-gyu calmly replied, "Yes." Perfect, Director Gu choked out, gulping and struggling, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. And no. Director Gu, completely won over and grinning wildly, declared with enthusiasm, "It's the best." Director Gu, invigorated, loudly announced, "Everyone. Get those dogs out of here right now and contact the entire staff." Wrapping up the casting. He dismissed the need to see other actors, praising Lee Tae-gyu for being like a real tiger, and with an arm around his shoulder, asked, "Just how on earth did you do that?" Lee Tae-gyu calmly stated, "My name is Lee Tae-gyu." Director Gu, beaming, pointed at him, "All right, Lee Tae-gyu. Show up starting tomorrow. You're my Jong. Well, how is it? Feels good to land the role, right?" Lee Tae-gyu maintained his calm, inscrutable expression, even as Director Gu's hand rested on his shoulder. As Director Gu's hand slid off his shoulder, Lee Tae-gyu remained silent. Then, with glowing red eyes and a fierce, confident smirk, Lee Tae-gyu unexpectedly declared, "I refuse." Director Gu registered an unexpected, unsettling development. Lee Tae-gyu, meanwhile, stood enveloped in a raw, powerful energy. Director Gu, disbelief etched on his face, demanded to know why Lee Tae-gyu would refuse the role after such a perfect performance. Lee Tae-gyu, however, remained unfazed, calmly stating he was a fan of Director Gu's work. Director Gu's frustration mounted, asking why he would decline, but Lee Tae-gyu coolly replied that while he respected him, it wasn't enough to die for. Director Gu, aggravated and defensive, dismissed the idea of danger, convinced Lee Tae-gyu was overreacting to a minor scare. Lee Tae-gyu clarified that fear was not the issue, he could endure humiliation, but there was a deeper slight. What he couldn't tolerate was having his acting dismissed as a weird interpretation, a truth that shocked Director Gu. Director Gu fumbled, backtracking with a clumsy metaphor about birds and the sky, which only confused Lee Tae-gyu. Lee Tae-gyu's voice, unseen, delivered the final blow, declaring Director Gu's environment nothing more than a cramped cage. With a simple declaration of departure, Lee Tae-gyu walked away, leaving Director Gu standing stunned and helpless. The black van drove away, carrying with it Director Gu's lingering shock. Inside the car, Lee Tae-gyu remained composed, while his staff sat in subdued silence. The male staff member, still reeling, cautiously asked if Lee Tae-gyu was certain about letting such a significant role slip away. Lee Tae-gyu simply smirked, explaining that he hadn't dropped the role, the desperate one would always return. The male staff member could only utter a single, surprised word. Lee Tae-gyu confidently predicted a call would come within days, leaving no room for doubt. The female staff member, peeking nervously, admitted Lee Tae-gyu's actions reminded her of CEO Do Yoon-seop. Lee Tae-gyu offered a knowing smirk in response. As the van pulled away, the female staff member quickly dismissed the comparison, but Lee Tae-gyu's prediction was already proving spot on. Back at the set, Director Gu exploded in a frustrated roar, unable to process Lee Tae-gyu's defiance. Slumped and dejected, Director Gu wrestled with a decision he had already made, despite his pride. Director Gu silently raged, his pride preventing him from admitting he had mishandled a truly extraordinary talent. But as a director, he instinctively knew the rookie had performed a miracle, painting the final pupil on a dragon. After witnessing such a dragon, anything less would no longer suffice, compelling him to reach for his phone. Exactly 5 days later, Director Gu's voice erupted in a furious roar, just as Lee Tae-gyu had foretold. Despite his earlier outburst, Director Gu now beamed with an infectious, excited smile. Director Gu welcomed Lee Tae-gyu back with open arms, effusively praising his brilliance and relief at inviting him back. Lee Tae-gyu offered only a calm, rhetorical question, as Director Gu had indeed submitted. Having discarded his pride, Director Gu couldn't let go of such a perfect Jongjong, eagerly offering to accommodate any conditions for immediate filming. Lee Tae-gyu's condition was clear and challenging, all his scenes must be completed within 2 weeks. Director Gu recoiled in disbelief, questioning if Lee Tae-gyu truly meant to finish all his shoots in such a short time frame. Lee Tae-gyu affirmed his demand, prompting Director Gu to nervously remind him of the other major stars attached to the film. Director Gu cursed Lee Tae-gyu's eccentricity internally, then patronizingly began explaining the complexities of movie filming, citing Lee Tae-gyu's inexperience. He passionately detailed the myriad factors from makeup to weather, emphasizing the profound differences in historical drama production. Lee Tae-gyu, with a polite bow, subtly signaled the end of the discussion. Director Gu, still defiant, insisted he could make it happen, then muttered an angry complaint about Lee Tae-gyu's lack of patience. Director Gu, finally conceding, agreed to accommodate, only for Lee Tae-gyu to calmly instruct him to call the next day. Though he appeared to relish the power play, Lee Tae-gyu wasn't truly seeking a power trip. His true motivation was freedom, acting was stimulation, and prolonged restrictions were intolerable, a situation common under Director Gu, and it would allow him to attend more auditions. YKB Entertainment's packed schedules were ideal for Lee Tae-gyu, making him less desperate for any single role, even Director Gu's Jongjong. Lee Tae-gyu internally mused that he had almost pushed too far, but then admitted the sheer enjoyment of acting like Do Yoon-seop. Meanwhile, at the bustling Ashen City set, the director announced a much-needed 30-minute break. A simple sign indicated the designated smoking room. Director G, phone to his ear, curtly told someone to call later as he was busy. His colleague, the second man, casually inquired about the caller. Director G revealed it was a Hyun, sharing news of Lee Tae-gyu's Jongjong role in Halcyon Days, and he had playfully teased her for her excitement. The second man confirmed he also received a call regarding Lee Tae-gyu, noting Director Gu's discerning eye, but wondering if the actor ever rested. Director G, deep in thought, mused that Lee Tae-gyu's intensity came from his abnormal, almost insane, dedication to acting. His colleague observed that this was the first time Director G had acknowledged an actor so deeply, noting how Lee Tae-gyu seemed to ignite passion in everyone he worked with, even Director G himself. The set remained active, with another director discussing papers with a crew member. With a confident smirk, Director G speculated that Ashen City might even outperform Italian Romance. He then admitted a compelling desire to visit the Halcyon Days set, if only he had the time. On a phone screen, a young man hummed in subtle dissatisfaction. Cheon Yu-sung, portraying Yi Bang-won in Halcyon Days, was already frustrated, telling his manager to retake the photo. His assistant awkwardly questioned the need for another retake after an hour, but Cheon Yu-sung insisted he looked too camera-conscious, demanding clearer visibility for his face. Cheon Yu-sung, wanting to look like a macho man, directed his resigned assistant to a more secluded spot, a clear irony given his filtered, social media-obsessed reality. They walked along the pathway, searching for the ideal backdrop. Cheon Yu-sung pointed, directing his assistant to use a specific tree as their background. The assistant then theatrically leaned against the tree, striking an exaggerated pose with closed eyes. A sudden voice startled the assistant, who recoiled in fright as Lee Tae-gyu calmly introduced himself. Still agitated, the assistant demanded to know Lee Tae-gyu's role, questioning if he was just staff or an extra. Lee Tae-gyu merely smirked, asserting his importance by stating he was Jongjong. His intense gaze held a captivating, almost unsettling focus. The assistant, a nervous smile plastered on his face, meekly asked if they had a scene together. The director expressed a keen anticipation for the production, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. Lee Tae-gyu critically observed the peculiar power dynamics at play, the acting coach seemingly misplaced. The director, now walking away, found amusement in the unfolding events. Bidding farewell to his senior, Lee Tae-gyu couldn't shake the feeling that something more significant was at play. Cheon Yu-sung suggested they resume their practice until filming, and his assistant readily agreed. Cheon Yu-sung continued his discourse on acting, emphasizing tone and manners. Time passed, leading them to the moments just before filming began. Director Gu, surveying the set, noted how well the two actors looked together in their costumes. He then teasingly questioned the sudden closeness between Cheon Yu-sung and Lee Tae-gyu, wondering if charm had been involved. Cheon Yu-sung deflected, attributing their bond to Lee Tae-gyu's kindness and receptiveness to his advice. Director Gu urged them to maintain their on-screen chemistry, to which both actors respectfully agreed. Cheon Yu-sung probed Lee Tae-gyu's stiffness, who admitted to feeling a bit nervous in his unfamiliar costume. Dismissing his junior's jitters as typical for rookies, Cheon Yu-sung then subtly warned Lee Tae-gyu about making mistakes in the important role, citing Director Gu's perfectionism. He emphasized the director's aversion to rookie errors, and Lee Tae-gyu promised to be careful. Cheon Yu-sung then offered a seemingly comforting, yet subtly insidious, perspective on making mistakes early on. He then questioned if it wasn't a senior's duty to cover for a junior's missteps. Cheon Yu-sung grinned, demanding Lee Tae-gyu's trust, while mentally identifying him by his agency, YKB. He mused on Lee Tae-gyu's potential, linking it to the formidable reputation of his CEO, Yoon-seop. But Cheon Yu-sung knew the reality: a genuine film shoot was a beast entirely different from a mere camera test. The relentless flashing of cameras symbolized the industry's true predators, where a single mistake meant being torn apart by people, not just dogs. He smirked, predicting Lee Tae-gyu's inevitable failure due to rookie nerves, advising him to simply relax and make his mistakes. Lee Tae-gyu's missteps would merely serve to bolster Cheon Yu-sung's public image as a merciful and kind senior. A voice called out, signaling the start of the scene, "Stand by." Then the assistant yelled, "Action," as Cheon Yu-sung's plausible plan began to unfold. Cheon Yu-sung wasn't actively sabotaging Lee Tae-gyu, merely exploiting the natural nerves rookies face during a real shoot, as he dramatically called out, "Brother." Cheon Yu-sung declared his intention to join with a sword, while his risk-free plan seemed perfect, free of any true victims. But what truly transpired next was difficult to classify, as Lee Tae-gyu's voice ripped through the air, "Shut your mouth, you insolent brat." It was less karma and more a pure accident, leaving Cheon Yu-sung utterly bewildered. Lee Tae-gyu's voice grew menacing, a grinding tension accompanying his words as he began, "Do you think war Is a joke, he roared, a primal tiger aura manifesting around him, his eyes glowing with fierce intensity. Leaves whipped and scattered in the sudden, powerful disruption. Staff members scattered, their faces etched with pure terror. Director Gu, however, met the chaos with a feral, delighted smirk. Cheon Yusung lost his footing, stumbling amidst the swirling leaves. Then Director Gu's expression shifted, from delight to surprise. He clenched his jaw, processing the unexpected turn of events. Cut! Director Gu roared, halting the chaotic scene as Cheon Yusung sat stunned on the ground. Cheon Yusung could only manage a dazed, "Ah. Wow." Disbelief consumed him. What? Did I cause an NG? Me? An NG? What the F***ck was that, he thought, humiliated that his own legs had utterly given out beneath him. This accident marked Cheon Yusung's very first NG, prompting Director Gu to sternly command a retake, again. Let's go again. Cheon Yusung, focus. A flustered Cheon Yusung sheepishly excused himself, claiming the floor was slippery, though the sudden shock was immense for an actor accustomed to flawless performances. Unlike karma, an accident was inherently unpredictable, as Cheon Yusung internally grumbled about Lee Tae-gyu's abnormally loud yelling, urging himself to regain control. Who could have possibly foreseen this electrifying turn of events? Cheon Yusung let out a guttural sound of discomfort, marking the day he earned his first NG since joining Halcyon Days. He gagged and spit, sputtering about swallowing wrong, as Director Gu furiously screamed for another cut, demanding to know what Cheon Yusung was doing, utterly unaware he would cause 13 NGs in a row. Cheon Yusung declared his sword skills were quite decent, challenging his brother with a passionate shout. He proposed a grim wager, to see who could claim more enemy heads. Lee Tae-gyu's voice, laced with fury and glowing eyes, branded him an insolent fool. A wave of terror washed over Cheon Yusung, making him flinch back. Seriously, Cheon Yusung sighed, already frustrated by the scene. The director cut scene 4, take 13, and Cheon Yusung groaned that it was driving him crazy. Defeat hung heavy on his shoulders. He cast a furtive glance, a bead of sweat tracing his temple. Internally, Cheon Yusung fumed, wondering what was wrong with Lee Tae-gyu's nonsensical acting and audacious ad-libs. His manager, concerned, offered to ask the director for a longer break. But when his manager pointed out his earlier stumbles, Cheon Yusung snapped for her to shut up and stay out of it. He rallied himself with a frantic pep talk, reminding himself he was Cheon Yusung, the nation's little brother. Lee Tae-gyu, meanwhile, resolved not to let some nobody overshadow him. Cheon Yusung steeled himself, convinced this time would be different, that he would nail it. Action rang out and Cheon Yusung plunged into the scene, begging his brother to take him along. Lee Tae-gyu's gaze was piercing as he questioned his seriousness. Of course. Cheon Yusung affirmed with newfound confidence. He began to boast of his potential, but a sharp glint of steel made him gulp and cry out. Lee Tae-gyu, his eyes glowing with an unsettling light, challenged him, asking if he truly didn't fear a battlefield where countless men became headless ghosts. Pure terror etched itself onto Cheon Yusung's face. The sword's cold blade pressed closer to his throat. Despite his trembling, Cheon Yusung declared he was not afraid. Lee Tae-gyu's eyes burned crimson, unwavering. Still, a spark of resolve remained in Cheon Yusung's gaze. A blade was slowly, menacingly drawn from its sheath. Then, a sword clattered loudly to the ground. Cheon Yusung, bewildered, could only ask what was happening. Bang 1, Lee Tae-gyu spoke, questioning if he understood the true meaning behind his words. He pressed further, asking if mere sword skill was what truly mattered. Cheon Yusung gasped in dawning surprise. With a knowing smile, Lee Tae-gyu asked if he truly lacked great ambition and an extraordinary mind. A light tap on his head made Cheon Yusung yelp in surprise. The light taps continued. Lee Tae-gyu calmly turned away, addressing someone off-panel as senior. Cheon Yusung let out a string of frustrated grunts, culminating in a raw expletive. He gripped his head in despair, raging internally about how he'd reflexively flinched again from intimidation, now forced to reshoot the scene while enduring Lee Tae-gyu's acting. The director's voice cut through the air, signaling another take was done. Director Gu, beaming, declared it a great scene. He praised the slight flinch at the end, claiming it brought the character to life, as Lee Tae-gyu offered a subtle smirk. Director Gu congratulated Cheon Yusung on the 13th take, admitting he'd had a feeling they would finally get it. Cheon Yusung, a hint of suspicion in his voice, asked if the director had known this would happen, if he had purposefully paired them. Isn't it obvious? Director Gu snickered, a dark smirk on his face as he proclaimed that true art was never born without suffering. The easiest form of suffering, he added, was pressure itself. Cheon Yusung paused, then complained about the deviation from historical accuracy, arguing King Taejong shouldn't be portrayed like this. Director Gu countered that they only stuck to historical accuracy when it was fun, caring only for entertainment and plausibility. With a wave, Director Gu dismissed them, telling them to get some good rest. Walking away, Director Gu silently affirmed that his eyes had not deceived him. Lee Tae-gyu reflected on Cheon Yusung's surprising and diverse array of ad-libs. He grudgingly acknowledged how Cheon Yusung had countered every attempt to escape pressure with a new approach, muttering under his breath. This, he realized, went beyond mere acting skills, it was impossible without a complete assimilation into the role. Director Gu, satisfied, thought Lee Tae-gyu was not just a monster, but a brilliant one, and eagerly anticipated the next shoot. A new revelation showed Cheon Yusung to be an SNS addict, a fact that now caused him profound distress as he stared at his smartphone. The danger of such addiction was the high risk of self-sabotage by leaving a permanent digital footprint. As news traveled at the speed of light, Cheon Yusung's friendly snap with the rookie actor on SNS had been twisted into condescending advice, leaving him to cry out, "Just kill me." He raged internally at Lee Tae-gyu, realizing the other actor had been capable of such acting all along, feeling completely screwed over. Cheon Yusung continued to mumble curses, branding him a crafty, sneaky bastard. Suddenly, Lee Tae-gyu called out, "Senior," making Cheon Yusung scream in shock. Lee Tae-gyu offered coffee, and Cheon Yusung, after a moment of confused hesitation, accepted. Holding the cup, Cheon Yusung couldn't fathom what Lee Tae-gyu was truly thinking. Lee Tae-gyu, sipping his coffee, found Cheon Yusung's bluntness confusing, then mused he should have added more syrup. Cheon Yusung, surprised, felt he should have been the one buying coffee. Lee Tae-gyu explained the director had paid for it, having been in a great mood after talking with an actress, buying the coffees out of the blue. He then fondly mentioned Senior Seola Hyun. Cheon Yusung nervously pressed for details about the conversation with Senior Seola Hyun, but Lee Tae-gyu hesitated. Just then, Seola Hyun approached, asking if Cheon Yusung was there too, addressing him as Senior. She innocently explained that Lee Tae-gyu had spoken about how sweet and warm Cheon Yusung was to his juniors, suggesting she should learn to respect industry seniors, causing Cheon Yusung to gag in dismay. Seola Hyun then bowed, expressing her gratitude, causing Cheon Yusung to frantically protest that it wasn't like that. Lee Tae-gyu bowed deeply and dramatically, thanking Cheon Yusung for his meticulous acting lessons, sending Cheon Yusung into a panicked frenzy. As Lee Tae-gyu continued his exaggerated plea for future guidance, Cheon Yusung, completely defeated, desperately apologized, even calling him, "bro."